Chapter 229. Chapter 229. Chapter 229. Are you worthy? 549690339. I. Baikai only said I and could not continue. Previously, outside the blood and secret realm, he had repeatedly targeted Lu Ming and deliberately pushed the blame of the omnidirectional sword sect hunting down the students of the General Stars Hall to Lu Ming, causing the people of the General Stars Hall to not hide the truth from Lu Ming. Just now, he had incited the disciples of the Ten Directions Sword sect to kill Lu Ming. The reason why Lu Ming did not kill him? He couldn't even think of one. It seems like you didn't. Then go to hell, Lu Ming said coldly. Don't kill me. Suddenly, Baikai kneeled down and cried, Tianyun, please spare my dog life. In the future, no matter what you want me to do, I'll agree to it. From now on, I'll be your slave, and you can order me around. Be my slave? Are you even worthy? Lu Ming said indifferently. Boom. A powerful aura burst out from his body and pressed toward Baikai and the young man in green. Baikai felt like he was being crushed by a mountain, and it became difficult for him to breathe. It's not that easy to kill me. At this moment, the young man in the green robe roared and burst out with all his strength, rushing toward Lu Ming. He wanted to trade his life for a chance of survival. But how was that possible? Whoosh! The dazzling spear pierced through the air and went through the green-robed youth's forehead. Blood splattered everywhere, and the red and white matter splattered all over Baikai's face. Baikai screamed in fear. At this moment, he felt hopeless and helpless. The green-robed young man was more powerful than him, but he was killed by Lu Ming in one move. He did not even have the courage to resist. Don't kill me. I was wrong. I shouldn't have offended you. I was wrong. Baikai shouted hysterically. At this moment, he was filled with regret. He regretted offending Lu Ming. Lu Ming was not someone he could offend. It's all Bai Long's fault. It's all his fault. Why did we have to provoke this monster? It's all his fault. Baikai roared in his heart. He was blaming everything on Bai Long. If not for Bai Long, how would he have offended Lu Ming? What trash, you've really dirtied my hands. Lu Ming muttered. Yes, killing me would be dirtying your hands. Yes, you're right. Baikai seemed to have grabbed onto the last life-saving straw as he yelled out. But, if I don't kill you, I won't be at ease. Lu Ming muttered again, his voice exuding a bone-chilling coldness. Don't. Just as Baikai was about to shout, a ray of spear light flashed and disappeared into Baikai's forehead. Baikai, dead. Now, it's time for you to hand over your storage rings, right? Lu Ming's gaze swept across the disciples of the omnidirectional sword sect. The faces of the disciples from the omnipresent sword sect turned pale. They had witnessed Lu Ming's terrifying combat strength and ruthlessness with their own eyes. However, they were disciples of the Ten Directions Sword School and were usually high and mighty. Now, they were actually going to hand over their storage rings. This was simply a great humiliation. Tianyun, if you do this, the Ten Directions Sword sect will not let you off. Someone shouted. Looks like I'm not going to hand it over. Then I'll come and take it myself. Lu Ming sneered and his figure flickered like a ghost. The disciple from the omnipresent sword sect was already severely injured by Lu Ming. He had no way of resisting and had his storage ring removed by Lu Ming. At the same time, Lu Ming casually grabbed and threw the disciples of the omnidirectional sword sect. They were thrown up and fell heavily to the ground. Then, the second one was stacked on top, and it got higher and higher like a human pyramid. The last one was Gao Tianqi. After Lu Minute removed his storage ring, Lu Ming gave him a kick and he flew high into the air, landing on top of more than 30 Shifang Sword Sect disciples. More than 30 disciples of the Ten Directions Sword School were stacked up to a height of more than 10 meters. Lu Ming moved his body and appeared at the highest point. He stepped on Gao Tianqui's body and waited. The 30 or so disciples of the Ten Directions Sword School roared in anger, but it was of no use. A moment later, Lu Ming raised his head and looked into the distance. Finally, it's here, Lu Ming muttered. In the distance, many figures were leaping and approaching at an extreme speed. There were more than 200 people. The 10 Directions Sword sect had sent all the remaining people from the Star Hall to the Bloodant Nest. The figure flickered, and soon, he was nearby. Tianyun, that's Tianyun. That's my Shifang Sword sect's junior brother. Damn it, how did they lose to Tianyun? Damn it. How could Tianyun treat them like this? Damn it. The eyes of nearly 200 disciples from the omnipresent sword school turned red when they saw this scene. Cold killing intent emanated from their bodies as they glared at Lu Ming with murderous intent. In another direction, more than 20 students from the General Star Hall were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. Isn't this Tianyun a little too overbearing? Tyrannical, I think he's looking for death. We'd better stay away from him. The students of the General Star's Hall were discussing. Brother Tianyun. Ming Cheng was among them. He shouted and rushed toward Lu Ming. Brother Ming, stay away from me and just watch the show. Lu Ming smiled at Ming Cheng and waved his hand. Ming Cheng could not help but stop in his tracks. It was as if Lu Ming's words had a magical power that he could not reject. Even he did not realize it. Tianyun, move your stinky feet and let go of my Shifang Sword sect's senior brothers. Tell me, what despicable method did you use to sneak attack an expert from my 10 Directions Sword School? Damn it, you'll die 10,000 times for your behavior, you know? The disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School continued to shout. However, Lu Ming could not be bothered with them. He called out for a while and slowly stopped. I told them to hand over their storage rings, but they didn't. That's why they ended up like this. Now, hand over all your storage rings, or else, you'll end up like this. At this moment, Lu Ming's calm voice spread throughout the entire venue. What? The disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect were stunned. The students of the General Star's Hall were also stunned. Tianyun was robbing the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School. Crazy, Tianyun had gone crazy. Everyone roared in their hearts. Tianyun actually wanted to rob nearly 200 people from the 10 Directions Sword sect by himself. If he wasn't crazy, what was? Tianyun, it seems like you've been hiding for a few days. You've really gone mad. But no matter what, you're dead for sure today. A thin and tall figure walked out from the crowd of people from the 10 Directions Sword sect. He exuded a powerful aura. Lu Ming recognized this person. He was one of the 6 people from the 10 Directions Sword sect who had comprehended Force. Buzz. With a flash, another 2 young men walked out. Their auras were no weaker than the thin and tall young man's. The 2 of them had also comprehended Force. The 3 of them glared at Lu Ming with killing intent, ready to attack at any moment. Don't be careless. This person's combat strength is not to be underestimated. You'd better join forces and kill him. Jiao Tianqi, who was at Lu Ming's feet, shouted. The expressions of the people from the 10 Directions Sword sect changed. They initially thought that Lu Ming had used some despicable means to hurt Jiao Tianqi and the rest. However, it seemed that things were not that simple. Could Lu Ming really be that powerful? The 3 leaders hesitated. Chapter 230. Chapter 230. Fighting 200 people alone. 5496903339. Tianyun is despicable and shameless. He deserves to die 1,000 times. He's the person that Elder Qiu Wuji wants to kill. Let's attack together and kill him. The tall and thin youth waved his hand and shouted. All right, let's attack together. The other disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School shouted. More than 200 people unsheathed their swords, and terrifying sword chi gathered together, stirring up the wind and clouds. It was extremely terrifying. The ground made a series of cracking sounds as sword marks appeared. In the distance, the faces of the people from the General Star's Hall changed drastically. The combined force of nearly 200 disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School was too astonishing. Even a 9th grade Great Martial Master would have to retreat. Tianyun is too arrogant. He's just reaping what is sown. Someone in the General Star Hall said. Brother Tianyun. Ming Cheng roared, very worried. Ha ha ha, if you want to attack, then attack. Stop talking so much nonsense. Let me see if the 10 Direction Sword School is a bunch of trash. Lu Ming laughed heartily. You're looking for death. Attack and kill him. The disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School shouted. Whoosh, whoosh. Instantly, more than 50 sword chi beams shot up into the sky and slashed at Lu Ming with terrifying power. More than 50 sword auras completely enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming's gaze was calm and the corners of his mouth curled into a cold smile. Buzz. Lu Ming's figure flashed. His body exuded a sense of agility and extreme speed. He took a step in the air and instantly, a series of afterimages appeared in the air. It was impossible to tell whether they were real or fake. The 50 sword chi only hit his afterimages. None of them hit the real Lu Ming. Wind force, it's the wind force. Someone from the 10 Direction Sword sect shouted. So he has comprehended the force of the wind. No wonder he is so arrogant. Everyone, attack together and seal off all retreat paths. Even if he has comprehended the force of the wind, he will still die. The tall and thin youth roared. However, no one noticed that the more than 30 people who had been folded into ahats by Lu Ming had widened their eyes in shock. Wind force. Just now, Lu Ming had clearly used the force of fire when he attacked them. Now, he actually used the force of wind. Could he have comprehended 2 types of Shi? They felt that it was inconceivable. A great martial master at such a young age had actually comprehended 2 types of Shi. What kind of monster was this? Not good. He has not only comprehended the force of wind, but also the force of fire. Jiao Tianqi roared. What? The other disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School were all stunned. He even comprehended the force of fire. How was that possible? Jiao Tianqi must have been beaten silly. At the great martial master realm, being able to comprehend a type of force was already a rare genius, 1 in 10,000. As for comprehending 2 types of Shi, how was that possible? There weren't many martial ancestor realm cultivators who comprehended 2 types of Shi, right? They were sure that Jiao Tianqi must have been beaten silly. However, in the next moment, they felt that they were stupid. Boom. At that moment, a terrifying wave of energy erupted from Lu Ming's body like a volcano. This was another kind of force, the force of fire. This. The eyes of the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect almost popped out of their sockets, and they were all tongue-tied. Lu Ming had really comprehended 2 types of force. How was this possible? Kill. At this moment, Lu Ming shouted loudly, his voice like thunder. His body moved and he rushed towards the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect. With the combination of wind and fire, his battle strength skyrocketed. Let's attack together. Let's attack together. Even if he has comprehended 2 types of Shi, so what? After all, he's only one person. If we attack together, we can definitely kill him. Let's attack together. Boom. Boom. Rays of sword chi rose up, and there were a total of 200 rays of sword chi. It was extremely terrifying. Landslide. Lu Ming let out a long howl and held the spear with both hands. A huge spear ray that was 100 meters long formed. The spear was so fast that it seemed to be real, like a real spear. Around the spear radiance, there were burning flames and a strong wind. The wind helped the fire burn more vigorously, like a fire spear. Boom. The huge spear light exploded down with a terrifying vibration. Kill. Kill. Nearly 200 disciples of the omnipresent sword school roared and their dazzling sword chi slashed toward Lu Ming. The spear radiance and the sword chi collided, causing a violent boom. Terrifying shockwaves spread out in circles, forming gusts of strong wind. The ground looked as if it had been plowed, and deep ravines appeared, extending for hundreds of meters. The center of the collision between the spear radiance and the sword chi was blasted into a pit that was more than 10 meters deep and more than 30 meters wide. How is Tianyun? He should be killed by now, right? In the distance, the people from the General Star Hall looked at the dust-filled scene and guessed in their hearts. But when the smoke and dust dissipated, they were stunned. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and stood proudly. His body exuded a strong fighting spirit and he stood straight. What happened? There wasn't even a scar. On the other hand, some of the people from the 10 Direction Sword School with lower cultivation, such as the 3rd and 4th grade Grandmaster realm, all had pale faces and blood flowing from the corners of their mouths. Not only did Lu Ming not die, but he even had the upper hand. How was that possible? When nearly 200 people joined forces, even a 9th grade Great Master would have to retreat. Lu Ming had actually blocked it and even gained the upper hand. This was like a fantasy story. The nearly 200 people from the 10 Direction Sword sect all had their eyes wide open in disbelief. Geniuses of the 10 Directions Sword School, that's all you amount to. Today, leave behind your storage rings, or die. Buzz. Lu Ming took a step forward and rushed toward the people from the omnidirectional sword sect. Join hands, don't split up. Someone shouted. However, it was too late. Lu Ming was like a tiger in a pack of woe leavers, charging into the crowd of disciples from the omnidirectional sword school. With a sweep of his long spear, dozens of people were sent flying. They fell to the ground and blood gushed out. They could not resist Lu Ming at all. Lu Ming's current combat strength was too powerful. He had a 5th grade Great Martial Master cultivation, the 4th stage of the True War Dragon technique, and his wind and fire force had reached the initial success stage. When combined, his combat strength was terrifying. The strongest of these youths was only at the peak of the 6th grade Great Martial Master realm, and they were no match for Lu Ming. Even the few youths who had comprehended force were the same. Bang! Bang! In just a few breaths, over 100 disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect had fallen to the ground. Everyone in the Star Hall was dumbfounded. Some of them rubbed their eyes hard, thinking that they were dreaming. This. He's a monster, a freak. Ming Cheng was also stunned and he roared in his heart. He thought that he had already thought as highly of Lu Ming as possible. However, in the end, he realized that he had still underestimated Lu Ming. Lu Ming's ability far exceeded his imagination. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and moved unhindered. With one whip, a large number of disciples from the 10 Directions Sword School had their bone armor broken and fell to the ground. Even a genius who had comprehended force couldn't escape the fate of having his spine snapped in one strike. Run! The other disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School shouted. They were simply scared out of their wits. There was no way to resist at all. Their strength was on a completely different level. Stop! At this moment, a loud roar rang out, like rolling thunder. A figure was actually stepping on the void and rushing over at an extreme speed. It's senior brother Yang Zhaitian. Senior brother Yang Zhaitian is here. We're saved. A disciple of the 10 Directions Sword School shouted crazily. Chapter 231. Chapter 231, Battling Yang Zhaitian. 5496903939. The disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School were overjoyed because Yang Zhaitian had arrived. However, Lu Ming only took a casual glance and continued to attack. Bang! Bang! One by one, the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect were sent flying. By the time Yang Zhaitian arrived, there were only a few left standing. Yang Zhaitian looked around gloomily. Then, he looked at Lu Ming and said coldly, I told you to stop, didn't you hear me? I heard you, but who do you think you are? Do I have to stop just because you tell me to? Lu Ming gave him a sidelong glance. Yang Zhaitian was stunned, and his face became gloomier. Lu Ming actually said that he was a nobody. Yang Zhaitian was so angry that he laughed and said, Tianyun, I've said before that you are my prey. At that time, I was just saying it casually. But now, you're dead. There's no way you can live. Does the Shifang Sword School have the same strategy? You say that I'm dead the moment you see me, but you all end up lying here. You'll be the same soon. Lu Ming sneered. Don't compare me to these trash. Yang Zhaitian said. The other disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School had unsightly expressions on their faces. Yang Zhaitian had called them trash in public, so of course, they felt uncomfortable. In my eyes, you're the same as them. You're all trash. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Audacious. Impudent. Yang Zhaitian shouted angrily, his killing intent extremely cold. He, Yang Zhaitian, had been a genius since he was born. Along the way, he had defeated his peers and was almost invincible. Now, Lu Ming actually said that he was trash. This was a great humiliation. He had to kill Lu Ming. Tianyun, you've succeeded. You've successfully angered me. Today, I'll break all the bones in your body and feed you to the blood ants. Yang Zitian roared, and his aura burst out. Furthermore, it was constantly improving. Soon, he broke through the limit of the peak 6th grade Great Master Realm and entered the 7th grade Great Master Realm. 7th grade Great Master Realm. Lu Ming was slightly stunned. 7th grade Great Martial Master. Senior brother Yang Zitian has broken through to the 7th grade Great Martial Master Realm. Tianyun is dead for sure. The disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect shouted in ecstasy. Yang Zitian had always been a peerless genius, and he had suppressed his peers. With such a breakthrough in cultivation, his combat strength would also soar. Senior brother Yang Zitian, don't kill Tianyun so easily. I want to torture him. Not bad. The disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School shouted. Tianyun, I saw it just now. To think that you've actually comprehended 2 types of Shi. That's truly astonishing. However, let me tell you this. Sure, in terms of quality, not quantity. Furthermore, no matter how much Shi there is, in the face of absolute power, it will still fall apart. Yang Zitian's eyes were like lightning, and his momentum was like a tiger. He took a step forward, and the earth rumbled. You talk too much nonsense. You're just finding excuses for your own incompetence. Lu Ming berated. I'm useless. Ha ha ha, you're looking for death. Yang Zitian roared and unsheathed his combat sword. A hot aura burst out. Force, it was actually the force of fire. I'll let you see the true power of fire. Yang Zitian let out a long howl and rushed toward Lu Ming, swinging his sword. The power of the fire wrapped around the sword chi and exploded with a shocking power. So it's the initial success of the force of fire. Lu Ming muttered. Your Shi is only at the tip of the iceberg, while my Shi is already at the small success stage. This is what essence is. Yang Zitian roared with contempt. Earlier, Lu Ming's force had not been released at full force. He thought that although Lu Ming had comprehended 2 types of force, it was only a superficial understanding. How could Lu Ming be a match for him? Frog in the well. Lu Ming smiled faintly. What? Yang Zitian was stunned, but the next moment, his face changed dramatically. This was because the force on Lu Ming's body was rising uncontrollably. First of all, his fire force had reached the small success in an instant, and it was still rising. Although it did not reach the great success in the end, it was still stronger than Yang Zitian's force. Boom! A spear light shot out and collided with Yang Zitian's sword chi. The two of them dissipated. How is that possible? How can your fire force be so strong? What's going on? Yang Zitian roared in disbelief. Just now, he was still looking down on Lu Ming, saying that Lu Ming had too much power but was not good at it. However, he immediately realized that Lu Ming not only had more, but he was also more astute than him. It was like he was slapping himself hard in the face. This is impossible. Then let's continue. Boom. Lu Ming's aura rose again. This time, it was wind force. It went all the way up, like a hurricane sweeping through the sky. Finally, Lu Ming's wind force had also rushed to the small success stage. Wind force small success, impossible. This is absolutely impossible. You're cheating. You're cheating. How could you comprehend 2 types of force to small success? Yang Zitian was no longer calm, and he screamed hysterically. In fact, even his facial features were distorted. He had comprehended force at the 9th grade Master Realm, which was rare even in the 10 Direction Sword School. It was even rarer for a 6th grade Great Martial Master to cultivate the force of fire to the small success stage. He had always been extremely proud and regarded the 6 heroes of the Scorching Sun as his goal. He did not put anyone in his eyes. But now, he suddenly realized that Lu Ming's talent was stronger than his by a large margin. This was hard for him to accept. Die, die. This Tianyun must die. In this world, there cannot be a genius who can surpass me. Yang Zitian roared in his heart. Kill. Without any hesitation, He activated his blood meridian and charged at Lu Ming with all his might. Die. The sword qi was shocking and extremely hot. Yang Zhaitian was definitely a peerless genius with extremely terrifying combat strength. At this time, his full-strength attack was shocking. Even an 8th grade Great Martial Master would be killed in one move, and a 9th grade Great Martial Master would have to retreat. However, he had encountered Lu Ming. The power of wind and fire combined and turned into a blazing flame spear light that shot into the sky. Boom! Lu Ming and Yang Zhaitian collided, turning into a terrifying and scorching shock wave that swept in all directions. Not good, quickly retreat. The disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School all roared and retreated madly, not caring about their injuries. The people from the General Star Hall in the distance also revealed expressions of shock and retreated frantically. Boom! The huge shock waves hit the ground, creating deep pits. Kill! Kill! With 2 loud roars, the 2 figures collided again. From a distance, the 2 parties watched in shock. They saw 2 figures emitting a scorching aura colliding in the air and on the ground like 2 ancient giant beasts. Boom! Boom! After more than a dozen collisions, more than a dozen large pits appeared on the ground. It was like the end of the world. It was a good thing that they had been some distance away from the Bloodant Nest during their previous battle. Otherwise, the Bloodant Nest would have been destroyed. Even so, the Bloodant Nest was still disturbed, and Bloodants crawled out one by one. Boom! There was another violent explosion, and a figure retreated quickly, being struck and sent flying. It was Yang Zhaitian. At this time, he was in a very sorry state, covered in blood and his hair disheveled. He was no match for Lu Ming. Tianyun, I want you dead. I want to kill you. I want to kill all your friends and family. Yang Zhaitian roared, pretending to be crazy. Chapter 232. Chapter 232, Half Satisfied. 5496903339. Yang Zhaitian roared crazily, his killing intent was terrifying. He had actually been injured by Lu Ming, a student from the General Stars Hall who he had regarded as a motley crew. He could not accept the humiliation. All heaven soared. Yang Zhaitian roared, and his momentum reached its peak. A beam of sword light appeared out of thin air and suspended above Yang Zhaitian's head. It was extremely brilliant. A terrifying sword qi rippled out. The soil under Yang Zhaitian's feet was stirred up by the sword qi, like water waves. Earth-level sword technique. Lu Ming could tell at a glance that this was an earth-level sword technique. Earth-level sword technique, sword from the sky. Senior brother Yang Zhaitian has actually practiced it. What? This is an earth-grade martial skill. It's too terrifying. Tianyun's finish. Once this earth-grade sword technique is used, he's dead for sure. Senior brother Yang Zhaitian is so powerful. This is an earth-level martial skill. The people from the omnidirectional sword sect discussed excitedly. Some even laughed out loud, thinking that Lu Ming was dead for sure. They could finally vent their anger. Everyone from the General Star Hall was filled with shock and frustration. The disciples of the 10 Direction Sword School were too strong, and they had no way of competing with them. The number 1 genius of the General Star Hall's outer hall had only just comprehended force. Compared to Yang Zhaitian, he was still far behind. Brother Tianyun. Ming Cheng stared straight ahead, his eyes filled with worry. Tianyun, do you know the difference between us now? Tremble in front of me, ha ha ha. Yang Zhaitian laughed crazily. In his mind, Lu Ming would definitely be shocked, then shocked, terrified, and finally desperate when he saw Yang Zhaitian performing the earth-level sword technique. Thinking of this, he felt very good. Unfortunately, he was only half satisfied when he couldn't continue. This was because Lu Ming's expression was calm, indifferent, and even a little disdainful. Yes, disdain. Yang Zhaitian's heart was filled with anger. His face began to twist and he roared, Tianyun, what's with that expression? What's with that expression? Hee hee. Lu Ming smiled faintly, but the murderous intent in his eyes grew stronger. Ah, go to hell. Sky-covering sword, kill. Yang Zhaitian roared and swung his sword. The sword light suspended above his head slashed toward Lu Ming. Before the sword reached him, The terrifying sword intent had already enveloped Lu Ming. Do you think you're the only one who knows an Earth-rank martial skill? Lu Ming muttered. His essential chi burst forth and he raised one hand to the sky and swung his palm. Human Dao palm. Buzz. The space seemed to shake. Then, a huge palm print appeared in the air. The handprint was 10 meters wide and its shape was no different from a human's palm, but it was slightly blurry. However, its power was extremely shocking. It was as if there was a king of humanity inspecting the universe, and an extremely powerful pressure pressed down on everyone. Earth-rank martial skill, another Earth-rank martial skill? How is that possible? How was that possible? The disciples of the 10 Direction Sword School shouted. They couldn't believe that all this was real. They wished they were dreaming. Ha ha ha, Tianyun, I knew it. This guy is a freak. Ming Cheng laughed. How is that possible? How can you also cultivate an Earth-rank martial skill? Break. Yang Zhaitian let out a roar of disbelief. He controlled the sword light and slashed at the palm of humanity. Boom. The palm print and the sword light collided. Heaven and earth trembled. Then, a shock wave burst out at the place where the palm print and the sword light met. Boom. 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 The earth trembled, and a huge crater over 100 meters wide and 20 meters deep was blasted into the ground where the palm print and the sword light met. Countless pieces of rock flew everywhere. Retreat. Be careful. The people from the 10 Directions Sword Sect and General Star's Hall were in chaos. They quickly retreated and waved their weapons to block. He retreated 1,000 meters before he stopped. Bang. In the sky, the light of the palm print brightened, while the light of the sword light quickly dimmed. In the end, the sword light exploded, and a figure screamed as he was sent flying like a cannonball. He crashed heavily into the ground, creating a large crater. It was Yang Zhaitian. He had been defeated and was lying in the big pit, coughing up blood. CCGU. The sound of gasps rang out. Lu Ming walked in the air, his black hair fluttering in the wind. His aura was demonic, and his body exuded a cold murderous intent. Tianyun, what are you trying to do? Don't mess around. Sensing the murderous intent from Lu Ming, Yang Zhaitian shouted in horror. I, Pingsheng, hate it the most when people threaten me with my family. Since you did that, your fate has already been decided. Lu Ming said in a cold voice. Step by step, he walked toward Yang Zhaitian. Don't you dare. I'm the peerless genius of the 10 Directions Sword School and the future pillar of the school. I'm someone who can become the overlord. If you kill me, the experts of the 10 Directions Sword School won't let you off. At that time, you'll die a miserable death. Yang Zhaitian struggled hard and shouted. That's my business, why do you need to worry? Lu Ming was unmoved. His killing intent grew colder. Yang Zhaitian was scared. He was really scared. He could tell that Lu Ming really wanted to kill him. No, you can't kill me. You're crazy. You're crazy. Yang Zhaitian roared and rushed out of the pit, trying to escape. People Dao. Lu Ming said softly and waved his palm. A huge palm print formed in the sky and blasted toward Yang Zhaitian. No. Yang Zhaitian roared and burst out crazily. He wanted to resist, but it was to no avail. Boom. The palm print hit Yang Zhaitian directly into the ground, and another big pit appeared on the ground. The palm print dissipated, leaving only a lump of meat paste in the pit. Yang Zhaitian's body was smashed into pieces by the palm. Yang Zhaitian is dead. He was killed. The disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School widened their eyes in shock and stared at the scene. After a long time, someone reacted and shouted, Go, hurry up and go. This Tianyun is a madman. Buzz. Lu Ming's figure was like the wind. He stepped on the void and appeared above everyone's heads in a few steps. Who dares to run? Yang Zhaitian will end up like that. Lu Ming's cold voice spread throughout the entire venue. The disciples of the omnipresent sword sect could not help but stop and look at Lu Ming in fear. Could it be that Lu Ming wanted to kill them as well? Tianyun, what are you trying to do? If you kill so many of our people, the higher-ups of the 10 Directions Sword School will definitely go crazy. They'll do everything they can to kill you. At that time, no one will be able to save you. Someone from the 10 Directions Sword sect shouted. Who said I was going to kill you? I only wanted to rob you. All right, now hand over your storage rings. Lu Ming said indifferently. What? A robbery? Everyone from the 10 Directions Sword sect was stunned. What's wrong? If you don't want to hand it over, I don't mind starting a massacre. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with killing intent. The expressions of the people from the 10 Directions Sword sect changed drastically. I'll pay. Finally, someone shouted and compromised. Chapter 233. Chapter 233, In the Bloodant Nest. 54969039. What a joke. Lu Ming was simply a lunatic. He was so audacious that he even dared to kill Yang Zitian, let alone them. If he were to be killed because of this, it would not be worth it. Someone took off his storage ring and threw it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept it with his essential qi. Since someone took the lead, the rest could only follow suit and take off their rings, passing them to Lu Ming. However, there were also people who were reluctant to do so. They gritted their teeth in pain and were on the verge of tears. This storage ring could be said to contain all of his accumulated wealth. Who would be willing to hand it over like this? However, when Lu Ming's gaze turned to them, they were shocked. They gritted their teeth and took off their storage rings, handing them to Lu Ming with trembling hands. 185, 186. As Lu Ming kept them, he counted them. He felt so good that he could not even open his eyes. The disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect looked like they were about to cry. They gritted their teeth so hard that they almost broke. Everyone in the General Star Hall looked at this scene in shock. Not long after, the last disciple from the 10 Directions Sword sect handed the storage ring to Lu Ming, who put it away with satisfaction. All right, you can get lost now. This blood ant nest is mine. I'll kill whoever I see. Lu Ming shouted coldly. The disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect felt as if they had been granted amnesty, and they turned to run. In the blink of an eye, not a single one had run away. In the distance, countless disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School growled, Quick, let's find a place to recuperate and then hunt the blood ants. Otherwise, we'll lose everything we've invested. Damn it. That's my storage ring. Tianyun. That damned Tianyun. Once we leave the blood ant realm, I'll definitely kill him. Many disciples of the 10 Directions Sword sect rushed into the distance with great resentment. They seized the time to heal their injuries and kill the blood ants. At this moment, Lu Ming's gaze turned to the people from the General Star Hall. Brother Ming Cheng, how about exploring the blood ant nest with me? Lu Ming said with a smile. I can't ask for more. Ming Cheng was overjoyed. As for you guys, get lost immediately. After that, Lu Ming looked at the other students of the General Hall. These people weren't good people either. Just now, they just wanted to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. Tianyun, we're both from the General Star's Hall. You can't be so overbearing, right? He's going to occupy the blood ant nest alone. A student from the General Star's Hall said with an ugly expression. Nonsense, so what if I'm this overbearing? If you're not convinced, then let's fight. Lu Ming berated. The young man was stunned. What a joke. Wasn't it courting death to exchange 2 moves with Lu Ming? Let's go. The others were helpless and could only turn around and leave. Soon, only Lu Ming and Ming Cheng were left in the place. Brother Ming, let's go. Lu Ming turned around and strode forward. When he arrived at the edge of the blood ant nest, he discovered that there were hundreds of blood ants crawling around. It was obvious that the battle just now had been too shocking and had completely alarmed the blood ants. As Lu Ming and Ming Cheng walked over, the blood ants let out a strange cry and pounced at them. However, the highest level of these blood ants was only 6th grade 3rd level. How could they be a match for Lu Ming? Soon, the ground was covered with the corpses of blood ants. The 2 of them then charged into the blood ant nest. In the blood ant nest, there were many intersecting passageways. The 2 of them didn't even need to identify the direction. They simply charged forward and killed as many blood ants as they could. An hour later, Lu Ming had already killed more than 200 blood ants and harvested more than 1,000 blood ant eggs. Ming City's harvest wasn't small either. They had around 200. The two of them went around and around, not knowing how far they had gone. Suddenly, the area in front of him opened up, and a huge underground cave appeared. The moment they arrived at the cave, the two of them were immediately stunned. Blood ant eggs. A large number of blood ant eggs were piled up in the cave. Each of them was red and translucent, like garbage. These were all shed by the blood ants. Blood ant eggs were not the eggs of the blood ant's offspring. Instead, they were energy crystals that contained powerful blood essence. How many of these blood ant eggs are there? Ming Cheng was dumbfounded. There should be at least tens of thousands of them, right? Lu Ming was also a little stunned. A burning light flashed in the eyes of the two. Squeak. At this time, a sharp cry was heard. The two of them then realized that there was a huge creature in the middle of the cave. It was a huge blood ant that was at least 10 meters tall. Its stomach was huge, and there were strings of blood ant eggs hanging on it. At a glance, there were at least a few hundred of them. The mother ant. This was the mother blood ant. Just now, the two of them had been attracted by the countless blood ant eggs and had almost forgotten about the existence of the mother ant. The mother ant stared at the two of them with its huge eyes and let out a sharp cry. Whoosh! From the side of the cave, a loud sound of air being torn rang out. A strong and sharp force was coming towards Lu Ming. It was a blood ant, but it was as large as a water buffalo. Its entire body was fiery red, crystal clear, and bright like red jade. Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming raised his gun and swept it. Boom! With a loud bang, the blood ant was forced back, but Lu Ming felt his body go numb and took a few steps back. What a powerful force! These are blood ants of Class 9 Lever 3. Lu Ming was slightly shocked. Whoosh! At this moment, another blood ant rushed out from another cave on the other side of the cave. This blood ant was no smaller than the previous one, and it exuded a powerful aura. Brother Ming, you can leave first. Lu Ming said. All right. Ming Cheng nodded without any hesitation, then turned around and ran toward the tunnel behind him. He knew that he had no way of fighting back against the 9th grade 3rd level blood ants. He would only be a burden to Lu Ming if he stayed. Now, let's have a good fight. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He shook the demon-subduing spear and let out a buzzing sound. He rushed out and attacked the blood ants. Boom! The demon-subduing spear shot out with the power of wind and fire, its might shocking. Bang! The long spear collided with the blood ant's claws, causing a violent tremor and a loud rumbling sound to echo in the cave. After this blood ant was forced back, the next one rushed up. The two 9th grade 3rd level blood ants joined forces and launched a frenzied attack on Lu Ming. Lu Ming raised his cultivation to the maximum and activated the power of wind and fire to fight the two blood ants. Squeak! The mother ant shrieked and dragged its huge body as it charged at Lu Ming. Its long, sharp claws were like blades as it slashed at Lu Ming. Its power was shocking and was not any weaker than the two blood ants. Obviously, the queen ant also had the combat strength of a Class 9 Lever 3. 3 blood ants with the combat strength of 9th grade 3rd level attacked Lu Ming at the same time, giving him immense pressure. Ancient shield. With a single thought, 3 ancient shields appeared around Lu Ming. After 2 months of hard work in the God-Wind Valley, his ancient shield technique had reached the 3rd level, and he could now form 3 ancient shields. Clang! The blood ant's claws struck the ancient shield, making clanging sounds, but they couldn't break it. Chapter 234. Chapter 234. Chapter 234. Take them all. 54969039. The 3 ancient shields could be controlled and changed at will, blocking Lu Ming's entire body. With the protection of the ancient shield, Lu Ming stood in an undefeatable position. Kill! Lu Ming hollered. He focused on one blood ant and launched a storm of attacks at it. Ming Cheng, who was running through the blood ant nest, heard deafening rumbles from behind and smiled bitterly. This brother Tianyun is truly monstrous. I have to get out of here quickly. Otherwise, this blood-ant nest will be destroyed. Ming Cheng ran out desperately. In the blood-ant nest, Lu Ming's courage mounted as he fought. He didn't have to worry about himself at all and attacked with all his might. One blood-ant was already suppressed. Poochie. The demon-subduing spear pierced through the blood-ant's body, blasting a huge hole in its extremely hard shell. What a hard shell. Lu Ming sighed secretly. If he had not attacked with the power of wind and fire, he would not have been able to break through the blood-ant's defense. It was impossible for ordinary martial artists below the 9th grade Great Martial Master realm to break through the defense of the blood-ants. No wonder there were so many blood-ant eggs in the blood-ant nest all these years without being taken. Those who had entered were all martial artists below the 7th grade Great Master realm. Who could be a match for these blood-ants? Even a genius like Yang Zitian, who had broken through to the 7th grade Great Martial Master realm, was no match for a few blood-ants. At most, he would only plunder a little and then escape. Whoosh! Lu Ming thrust his spear again. It pierced through the blood-ant's wound, all the way to the handle. The blood-ant screeched and struggled madly. Die! Lu Ming shook his long spear and a powerful essential qi burst forth, rushing into the blood-ant's body and crushing its internal organs. He finally killed a blood-ant. Without any delay, Lu Ming charged at another one. A few minutes later, bang! As the last mother ant fell to the ground, the 3 powerful blood-ants were all killed by Lu Ming. Collect. Following that, Lu Ming began to plunder wantonly. Rays of light enveloped the blood-ant eggs in the cave and kept them into his storage ring. Lu Ming did not count and he did not know how many he had collected. 2 minutes later, all the blood-ant eggs in the cave had been collected. Haha, I'm rich now. Lu Ming could not help but grin and laugh. Then, he controlled his bloodline and devoured the blood essence of the 3 blood-ants. With a single thought, Lu Ming appeared in the Supreme Shrine and began to refine the blood essence. This refining process took more than a day, and all 3 blood-ants' blood essence had been refined. Lu Ming's cultivation had skyrocketed from the 5th grade Great Martial Master to the early stage of the 6th grade Great Martial Master. The amount of energy required for cultivation has indeed increased. Lu Ming shook his head and smiled. This was the blood essence of 3 9th grade 3rd level blood-ants. It was 4 levels higher than Lu Ming's. Furthermore, the blood essence of the blood-ants was 1 or 2 times richer than that of ordinary demonic beasts. 3 9th grade 3rd level blood-ants had only helped Lu Ming advance by 1 level. It was clear that the amount of energy Lu Ming needed was terrifying. Now that I'm a 6th grade Grandmaster, I'll need at least 20 class 9 lever 3 demonic beasts blood essence before I can advance. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Moreover, the level of his bloodline had not been upgraded yet. He did not know how much blood essence he would need to upgrade it to a 7th level bloodline. We can't let go of the corpses of these 3 blood-ants. The shells on their bodies are rare refining materials. Lu Ming waved his hand and kept the 3 blood-ants' corpses into a storage ring. It's almost time for the mystic realm to close. Ming Cheng must be waiting anxiously outside. Let's go out quickly. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he ran outside. Soon, Lu Ming came out of the blood-ant nest. As soon as he came out, he saw Ming Cheng pacing around anxiously. Brother Ming! Lu Ming shouted. Tianyun, you've finally come out. I thought that you'd been defeated by a few ants. Ming Cheng heaved a long sigh of relief and grinned when he saw Lu Ming. A few ants, how can they do anything to me? Lu Ming smiled. Then, he waved his hand and a storage ring appeared. Brother Ming, there are some blood-ant eggs in here. I got them from the blood-ant nest. Take them, Lu Ming said. No, this is something you obtained with your own strength. How can I accept it? Furthermore, I've already gained a lot by following you into the blood-ant nest. Ming Cheng waved his hands and refused firmly. Lu Ming gave him more but Ming Cheng refused to accept it. Seeing this, Lu Ming did not insist. He put away the storage ring and headed to the exit of the secret realm with Ming Cheng. The exit of the secret realm was on the easternmost mountain peak of the blood-ant secret realm. Once the 10 days were up, The elders of the imperial family and the General Star Hall would work together to open an exit for them to leave. Outside the blood and secret realm, a door of light appeared. Many figures appeared around the door of light, and they were all looking at it. There were people from the royal family and the 10 Direction Sword School, but there were many more people than 10 days ago. Moreover, some people were floating in the air. They were all martial arts grandmasters. On the side of the imperial family, Hua Kai was among them. At the very front were the red-haired elder and Qiu Wuji. Qiu Wuji looked at the members of the imperial family and sneered, "Eccentric Red, why did you send so many people here? Are you going to get even with us when you see that the people from the General Star Hall have been killed? Have a great battle with us. I'm just taking precautions. I'm afraid that the disciples of your 10 Directions Sword School will suffer losses in the Mystery Land and die inside. If that happens, you'll fly into a rage out of humiliation and try to harm the students of my General Star's Hall." The red-haired old man replied with a cold smile. "Ha ha ha." Qiu Wuji laughed and said, "A disciple of my 10 Directions Sword School is at a disadvantage? Died in battle? With your General Star's Hall? Impossible. This can't be happening. Things are unpredictable." The red-haired old man said. "That's impossible. And I'm telling you clearly that killing is not forbidden in the blood and secret realm. If my 10 Directions Sword School disciples really die in there, it's because they're weak." "What a joke," Qiu Wuji said calmly. "Remember what you said." The red-haired old man snorted. "Eccentric Red, you're so confident. Don't tell me that you think that Tianyun or whatever can pose a threat to the disciples of my 10 Direction Sword sect. I'm telling you, that's impossible. Right now, that Tianyun has already died at the hands of the heroes of my 10 Direction Sword sect." Qiu Wuji sneered. "Died at the hands of your 10 Direction Sword School's disciple? I don't think so," the red-haired old man said. "Not necessarily. All right, how about we make a bet? I have a piece of heavenly star mithril here. I heard that you have a cloud net fruit. How about I use the heavenly star mithril to bet on the cloud net fruit with you?" Qiu Wuji said. Many people were shocked. What? Heavenly star mithril, cloud net fruit? Such a big bet. A martial grandmaster expert exclaimed. Star mithril was an extremely precious material for refining weapons. It was a top 4th level material that could be used to refine 4th level spiritual weapons. The cloud net fruit was also a level 4 spiritual medicine, which could be used to refine level 4 elixir pills. The 4th grade materials and spiritual herbs were all items of the martial arts grandmaster level and were extremely precious. As for the star mithril and cloud net fruit, they were considered top-tier items among the level 4 items. Its value was no less than 100,000 spiritual crystals. Chapter 235. Chapter 235. Why didn't you say so earlier? 5496903339, the red-haired old man muttered to himself. 100,000 spiritual crystals was an astronomical figure for warriors at the Grandmaster realm or even lower. However, it was much better for a Wu Zong. A martial grandmaster was also known as a grandmaster. In the Blazing Sun Empire, they were definitely considered a first-class expert. They belonged to the upper echelons. Compared to them, a martial grandmaster was far inferior, so their status was naturally extraordinary. However, 100,000 spiritual crystals was not a small amount. Even a martial arts grandmaster would have to think twice. Eccentric Red, what's wrong? You don't dare to bet. If you don't dare to bet, just say it, don't be stubborn. Qiu Wuji mocked. Who said I don't dare to bet? There are so many witnesses here, I hope you won't go back on your word. The red-haired old man said. Ha ha ha, you're the one I'm afraid of going back on your word. Eccentric Red, your cloud net fruit is mine. Qiu Wuji laughed heartily. He was 100% confident that he could win, because Yang Zitian was in the 10 Direction Sword School. He was very clear about Yang Zitian's strength. Yang Zitian had said that he wanted to kill Tianyun, so as long as Tianyun touched Yang Zitian, he would be dead. Everyone waited in silence. Half a beat later. Someone's coming out. Someone shouted. As expected, the door of light flickered, and figures appeared one after another. Soon, dozens of young men came out. They were all disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School. The elders of the 10 Directions Sword sect, including Qiu Wuji, had calm expressions on their faces. All of this was within their expectations. However, they didn't notice that the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School all had gloomy expressions. They continued to pay attention to the door of light. After that, the light door flickered non-stop, and people walked out of it. Soon, 200 people came out. They were all disciples of the Shifang Sword School. None of them were students of the General Star Hall. The faces of the red-haired elder, Hua Kai, and the other elders of the imperial family turned uglier and uglier. How is that possible? Why hasn't anyone come out yet? Hua Kai clenched his fists tightly and his eyes were filled with worry. Ha ha ha, eccentric Red, I think your General Star Hall has most likely been completely annihilated. You're going to lose for sure. Hurry up and hand over the cloud net fruit. Qiu Wuji laughed heartily. You fuck. The red-haired old man's expression was ugly. He gritted his teeth and said, Qiu Wuji, don't be too happy yet. The time is not up yet. No one knows the result until the last moment. Haha, eccentric Red, you're really good at deceiving yourself. Alright, let's wait and see. Qiu Wuji sneered. Elder Qiu, let's go. At this moment, a disciple from the 10 Directions Sword sect wanted to say something. However, he was interrupted by Qiu Wuji. Qiu Wuji waved his hand and said, Alright, you've all done well this time. It's been hard on you, but not everyone is here yet. We'll talk about counting the blood and eggs later. Fuck. The young man wanted to continue, but Qiu Wuji's face darkened and he glared at him. He swallowed his words. At this moment, the door of light shone again, and more than 20 young men appeared. These 20-odd people were all from the General Star Hall. The red-haired elder and the others were overjoyed. TMPH, I'm just lucky. I don't know where I hid, but I was lucky enough to survive. However, I don't know how many blood and eggs I obtained. I don't think I can't even make one blood refinement pill. Qiu Wuji laughed coldly. The red-haired elder and the others were silent. They didn't have much hope in their hearts. As time passed, a few more people came out. They were all disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School. In the end, the 10 Directions Sword sect sent out about 280 people. This made Qiu Wuji and the others from the 10 Directions Sword School turn pale. The time was almost up, and the door of light was about to close. Once the door of light closed, they would not be able to open it. They could only wait for 3 years before they could open it. But at this time, there were still many people from the 10 Directions Sword sect who had not come out. More importantly, out of the 6 geniuses who had comprehended force, 2 had yet to come out. One of them was Yang Zitian. His probably delayed while exploring the blood ant ness. Qiu Wuji consoled himself. Lu Ming. Hua Kai's eyes were wide open as he stared at the light door. Lu Ming had not come out yet. He was really afraid that there would be an accident. Time slowly passed, and it was getting closer and closer to the time when the door of light would close. However, no one came out. What's going on? What's going on? Qiu Wuji started to get anxious. The others were fine, but Yang Zitian hadn't come out yet. How could it be possible? Buzz. At this moment, the light door flashed slightly, and 2 figures appeared. Qiu Wuji, the red-haired elder, and the other elders of both sides stared at the scene. The outline of the 2 figures slowly became clear. Tianyun. How is that possible? Qiu Wuji howled in disbelief. Tianyun, it's Tianyun. The red-haired old man's eyes widened. Then, he became ecstatic and laughed out loud. The 2 people who came out later were naturally Lu Ming and Ming Cheng. Damn it, this Tianyun must have found a place to hide. I didn't see Yang Zitian or the other disciples. Damn it. Qiu Wuji growled in his heart. Ha ha, Qiu Wuji, Tianyun is still alive. You've lost. Hand over the mithril, and don't go back on your word. The red-haired old man said. Fuck. Qiu Wuji's face turned ugly. He really couldn't bear to do it, but he couldn't go back on his word in front of so many people. It's all this Tianyun's fault, Why didn't he just go and die? He roared in his heart and blamed everything on Lu Ming. However, he still had no choice. He gritted his teeth and took out a fist-sized piece of silivera metal that was shimmering with starlight and handed it to the red-haired old man. This was the star mithril. The other martial arts grandmasters looked at the red-haired elder with envy. "Ha, then I won't stand on ceremony." The red-haired old man laughed as he put it away. He then looked at Lu Ming. The more he looked at Lu Ming, the more he found him pleasing to the eye. Why hasn't Yang Zaiqian come out yet? Qiu Wuji stared at the light door with a dark expression. Bang! Suddenly, the light door trembled violently and exploded with a bang. It turned into a rain of light and disappeared. How could this be? What about Yang Zaiqian? Why didn't he come out? Qiu Wuji roared. What happened? Why didn't Yang Zaiqian come out? There are so many other disciples. What happened? The other elders of the 10 Directions Sword School also roared in anger. Senior brother Yang Zaiqian is dead. Suddenly, a disciple from the 10 Directions Sword School shouted. The entire place fell silent. Qiu Wuji stared at this disciple with an ugly expression and shouted, "What did you just say? Yang Zaiqian was dead. How did he die? Who in the blood and secret realm could kill him?" Even when facing the mother ant, he was able to escape unscathed. How could he have died? Qiu Wuji bellowed as a powerful aura burst forth from his body. He's really dead. Most of the disciples here saw it. The disciple shouted, "Yes, Elder, Yang Zaiqian is really dead." The other disciples nodded in agreement. Qiu Wuji's face turned ashen and his eyes revealed a terrifying light. He stared at the disciple and shouted, "Why didn't you say so earlier? Elder Qiu, I wanted to say it just now, but you didn't let me." The disciple said in an aggrieved manner. "You win." Qiu Wuji was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Chapter 236. Chapter 236, Shameless. 549690339. Just now, this disciple was indeed about to speak, but he was stopped by him, causing the other disciples to not speak. However, just now, when he was so high-spirited and proud, thinking about giving the red-haired old man a hard blow, he had never dreamed that Yang Zaiqian would die in the blood and secret realm. Thinking about how she looked just now, she felt so embarrassed. "Tell me, how did Yang Zaiqian die?" Qiu Wuji asked through gritted teeth. "It's him, Tianyun. Senior brother Yang Zaiqian was killed by Tianyun." The disciple pointed at Lu Ming and shouted. "What?" Everyone was shocked. Other than the young men who had entered the blood and secret realm, everyone turned to look at Lu Ming. Yang Zaiqian was actually killed by Tianyun. How was this possible? Was Tianyun that powerful? Even the red-haired elder, Hua Kai, and company were shocked. Damn it! Qiu Wuji's body emitted a cold killing intent. He turned around and glared at Lu Ming. "Tianyun, speak. What despicable methods did you use? Did he secretly harm Yang Zaiqian? Assassination? Do you need to secretly harm Yang Zaiqian to kill him?" The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled up. "Nonsense, it's not an assassination. You can kill Yang Zaiqian. Even 10 of you won't be enough." Qiu Wuji shouted angrily. He did not believe Lu Ming's words. Lu Ming sneered and did not explain. "Elder Qiu, I have something to say." The young man from the 10 Directions Sword sect spoke again. "Shut up." Qiu Wuji bellowed and the disciple immediately shut up. However, his face was flushed red. "If you have something to say it quickly." Qiu Wuji thought about what had happened and took a deep breath. "Elder Qiu, senior brother Yang Zaiqian was really killed by Tianyun. He was defeated by Tianyun." The young man said. "How is that possible? Did you see it carefully?" Qiu Wuji asked loudly. "It's not just me, most of the fellow disciples here are present as well." The young man said. The other disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School all nodded in agreement, even though their expressions were ugly. "Why would I?" Qiu Wuji and the rest were still in disbelief. A motley crew of the General Stars Hall had actually killed the peerless genius of his 10 Direction Sword School. This had never happened before. "Elder Qiu, You have to seek justice for us. This Tianyun is a madman, a beast. Not only did he kill senior brother Yang Zitian, he also took our storage rings. He took all of our senior brother's storage rings, and all of our wealth was in them. Even the blood ant eggs we got from killing blood ants were all taken away by him. A disciple of the 10 Directions Sword School screamed. Ah! What? What? Qiu Wuji and all the elders of the 10 Directions Sword sect were stunned. Their mouths were wide open, and they stood there in a daze. The red-haired elder, Hua Kai, and the other members of the imperial family were not much different. They stared at Lu Ming with wide eyes. Damn it, you little bastard, I'm going to kill you. Qiu Wuji only came to his senses after a long while. His hair stood on end and his eyes almost popped out. With a furious roar, he sent a violent wave of true energy toward Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming was already prepared. He pulled Ming Cheng and moved tens of meters away in an instant, rushing toward the red-haired elder and the rest. Qiu Wuji, what are you doing? The red-haired old man shouted in anger. He rushed out and threw a punch. Boom! Heaven and earth shook as the red-haired elder exchanged a blow with Qiu Wuji, almost splitting the earth apart. Get lost. Today, I'll definitely kill that little bastard Tianyun. Qiu Wuji glared at Lu Ming and bellowed. Ha ha ha. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly burst out laughing. Little bastard, what are you laughing at? Qiu Wuji berated. Old man, do you really think that the omnipresent sword sect is the ruler of the Blazing Sun Empire? I'm a member of the royal family, and you want to kill me for no reason. Do you have no respect for the 4 great sects and the royal family? Lu Ming shouted, using the 4 major sects and the imperial family to suppress him. For no reason. You killed my 10 Directions Sword School's disciples and even stole all of our storage rings. Don't you deserve to be killed? Qiu Wuji roared. Haha, what a joke. Let me ask you, does the Blood Ant Secret Realm not prohibit killing and plundering? Lu Ming questioned loudly. Qiu Wuji's expression darkened. He was unable to answer this question. Since killing and plundering are not forbidden, it is normal for me to kill your disciples and steal their storage rings. What right do you have to kill me? Furthermore, before I entered the Blood Ant Secret Realm, all the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School declared that they wanted to kill me. I fought back and killed them. Isn't that right? Lu Ming's eyes were bright as he faced Qiu Wuji fearlessly and questioned him loudly. Qiu Wuji's expression was ugly, and the others from the 10 Directions Sword sect did not say anything. Lu Ming was right. Nothing was forbidden in the Blood Ant Secret Realm. Killing and plundering were the main theme of the Blood Ant Secret Realm. What a sharp-tongued little thing. So what? Let me tell you, even if the disciples of my Shifang Sword School want to kill you, you have to let them kill you. You can't resist. If you resist, you'll die. Qiu Wuji said coldly. He was overbearing, direct, and unreasonable. Lu Ming sneered. He could not be bothered to say anything. This old man was simply shameless. He was extremely shameless. Qiu Wuji, you're so fucking shameless. Only about 20 people from my General Stars Hall came out, and the rest were killed by your 10 Directions Sword School. According to what you said, you're allowed to kill my General Stars Hall's people, but I'm going to kill them. Alright, then in the future, you guys can go back to the 10 Square Mountain. I will mine the Blood Ant Secret Realm alone. The red-haired old man roared. You guys want to mine alone? In your dreams. It's more like the other way around. An old man from the 10 Directions Sword sect sneered. Eccentric Red, get lost. I'll definitely kill Tianyun today. Otherwise, I'll kill all of you as well. When the army of my 10 Directions Sword sect arrives, the imperial family will be annihilated as well. Qiu Wuji's voice was cold and overbearing. How audacious. Hua Kai shouted. Qiu Wuji actually said that he wanted to destroy the imperial family. Qiu Wuji, your Shifang Sword sect is full of wild ambitions. We will kill you all. The red-haired old man roared. Qiu Wuji's expression was extremely ugly. He couldn't help but regret saying those words in a moment of anxiety. Even if the 10 Directions Sword sect had such ambitions, They couldn't say it out loud. Or rather, it wasn't the time to say such things. Qiu Wuji, come. Let's fight. We won't rest until one of us is dead. The red-haired old man strode forward like a lion. His hair and beard were all standing up, and he was obviously extremely angry. I'm going to protect Qianyun today. Whoever wants to kill him, kill me first. Hua Kai took a step forward, his voice cold and firm. Chapter 237. Chapter 237, An Amazing Harvest. 54969039. Hua Kai was extremely powerful. He stepped forward and a few martial ancestor realm elders from the royal family followed closely behind him. Powerful auras emanated from their bodies. Damn it, he's really looking for death. Qiu Wuji roared in his heart, but he did not make a move. Right now, it was not yet time for the 10-direction sword sect to fall out with the imperial family. Hua Kai was the true prince, the 8th son of the current emperor. If he killed Hua Kai as well, it would be equivalent to declaring war on the imperial family. At that time, the 4 great sects would join forces to attack the 10-direction sword sect, and the 10-direction sword sect would not be able to withstand it. Moreover, there were many experts from the imperial family this time. Even if he wanted to make a move, he wasn't confident. Good, very good. 8th Prince, you're determined to go against the 10-direction sword school. I hope you don't regret it. Also, do you think that you can protect Qianyun like this? You're so naive, just you wait. Qiu Wuji roared in anger. He waved his hand and left with the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School. The faces of the people from the 10 Directions Sword School were all gloomy and extremely ugly. This trip to the Blood and Secret Realm could be said to be a complete defeat. Although they had killed a large number of students from the General Star Hall, they were just a motley crew in their eyes. The disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School also lost 60 to 70 people, especially since Yang Zaiqian had been killed. Moreover, Lu Ming had taken most of the storage rings of the disciples of the omnipresent sword sect. Most of the blood and eggs had fallen into his hands. They had not gained a single thing and were extremely embarrassing. Ha ha ha. The red-haired old man laughed heartily. Qianyun thanks Elder Hong and 8th Prince. Lu Ming stepped forward and cupped his fists to express his gratitude to the red-haired elder and Hua Kai. Qianyun, there's no need for such formalities. Hua Kai helped Lu Ming up. Qianyun, this old man should be thanking you. Not only did you help me win a piece of Sky Star Mithril, but you also severely suppressed the arrogance of the 10 Direction Sword School. It's really satisfying. The red-haired old man laughed. They wanted to kill me, I was just fighting back. Lu Ming said with a smile. Haha, let's go back to the General Star Hall. The red-haired old man laughed and waved his hand. The group immediately returned to the General Star Hall. First, count your harvest. Come here tomorrow morning to count the number of blood and eggs. The red-haired elder ordered in a large hall of the General Star Hall. The crowd nodded and dispersed. Lu Ming returned to the dormitory and hurried to the Supreme Shrine. He could not wait to see what he had gained. There was a pile of storage rings in front of him. There were nearly 300 of them, and they all belonged to the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School. Lu Ming started to count. He placed 1 blood and egg and 1 spirit crystal. The other things were also sorted out. There were too many things. Lu Ming took a total of 6 hours to do the inventory. Looking at the item in front of him, Lu Ming was dumbfounded. Then, he was overjoyed. The harvest was too great. The blood and eggs had been obtained by the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword Sect. In addition to the ones he had obtained from the Bloodant Nest, there were more than 23,000 of them. Among them, there were more than 13,000 pills in the Bloodant Nest, and the nearly 300 people from the 10 Directions Sword Sect had contributed about 10,000. Over 23,000 blood and eggs. This was a massive number. No one in history had ever obtained so many blood and eggs. If 6 blood and eggs could be exchanged for 1 blood refinement pill, then 23,000 blood and eggs could be exchanged for 3,800 blood and eggs. More than 3,800 blood refinement pills, he exclaimed. Lu Ming's eyes were shining. The more he accumulated before the second bloodline was awakened, the better. Lu Ming used a storage ring to store all the blood and eggs. Then, he looked at the pile of crystals. There were a total of 620,000 spiritual crystals. Lu Ming almost drooled. In addition to his previous spiritual crystals, he had already exceeded 700,000 spiritual crystals. Robbing is still the most refreshing, Lu Ming sighed. Of course, this was just a thought. He couldn't go and rob for no reason. Apart from the blood and eggs and spirit crystals, other things like spirit herbs, spirit medicine, spirit weapons, and all sorts of forging materials were also piled up like mountains. However, most of them weren't of high grade. A small number of them were level 3, while most of them were level 2 or level 1. However, the value of so many of them was still shocking. Just a few hundred storage rings alone were worth a lot. Lu Ming planned to find an opportunity to get rid of all these miscellaneous things. After packing everything, Lu Ming started to cultivate in satisfaction. The next day, Lu Ming went to the main hall. He discovered that the red-haired elder and Hua Kai had both arrived. Tianyun. Hua Kai smiled and greeted Lu Ming. Lu Ming also smiled. Other than them, there were also a few elders from the imperial family. Soon, more than 20 students who had participated in the Blood and Secret Realm had arrived. All right, now take out the blood and eggs you obtained from the Blood and Secret Realm and count them. Then, hand them over to the elders of the imperial family to refine the blood refining pill. Under normal circumstances, 3 blood and eggs can be used to refine 1 blood refinement pill. According to the rules, if you hand over 6 blood and eggs, you can exchange them for 1 blood refinement pill. The red-haired old man explained the rules again. Everyone nodded. Immediately, a young man stepped forward and took out a storage ring. The storage ring glowed, and suddenly, many blood and eggs appeared on the table. An elder began to count. There are a total of 62 blood and eggs. 60 of them can be exchanged for 10 blood refinement pills. The royal family will pay 300 spiritual crystals for the remaining 2 blood and eggs. Are you willing to buy them? The imperial family elder asked. I'm willing, the young man said. If the blood and eggs couldn't be used to refine blood refinement pills, then it was useless to keep them and might as well be sold. 300 spiritual crystals for 1. At the side, Lu Ming gasped and his eyes were burning with excitement. He even wanted to sell all the blood and eggs. How many spirit crystals would he get? Of course, he was just thinking about it. No matter how many spiritual crystals he had, they were not as important as the blood refinement pill. Even if you had spiritual crystals, you wouldn't be able to buy a pill like the blood refinement pill on the market. Then, he counted them one by one. Most of the students from the General Star Hall did not obtain many blood eggs. They only obtained around 100 blood eggs, and the highest number of blood eggs obtained by one of them was only slightly over 200. On the other hand, Ming Cheng surprised everyone. He had obtained more than 360 blood and eggs and was temporarily ranked first. Ming Cheng grinned. It was all thanks to Lu Ming that he was able to obtain so many. He had followed Lu Ming to kill blood ants in the blood ant nest and obtained more than 200 pills. Including his own, he had more than 360 pills. Now, Tianyun. The red-haired old man said. Buzz. Buzz. Everyone's eyes were focused on Lu Ming, their faces filled with anticipation. Lu Ming had robbed most of the storage rings of the disciples of the omnidirectional sword sect. How many blood and eggs could he have obtained? Everyone was very curious. This fuck, isn't this table too small? I don't think it can fit. Lu Ming looked at the table and smiled bitterly. Ah! Everyone was stunned. Chapter 238. Chapter 238, 4,000 blood refinement pills. 5496903339. The table wasn't big enough? This was the first time they had heard this reason. Hurry up and bring the table over, the red-haired old man roared, his face filled with excitement. The others immediately moved a few tables over. The tables were placed together and took up more than half of the hall's area. Lu Ming nodded slightly and took out a storage ring. Everyone fixed their eyes on it. The storage ring glowed, and a small mountain appeared on the table. It was a small mountain formed by the blood and eggs. Everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. There are so many GU. How many can there be? One of the students from the General Star Hall stammered and almost bit his tongue. Heavens, isn't this too much? Could it be that Tianyun has emptied out the entire blood ant nest? Another young man shouted. Start counting. The imperial family's elder reacted and began to count excitedly. Not long after, the numbers were out. 23,153. An elder of the imperial family reported the number with a trembling voice. CCGU. Everyone in the audience gasped. Even though he had expected this, he was still shocked by the number. Everyone looked at Lu Ming in bewilderment. How many blood refinement pills could he exchange for so many blood and eggs? 23,153 blood and eggs, which can be exchanged for 3,858 blood and eggs. I also have 5 more blood and eggs to support with spiritual crystals. The imperial family elder announced, but before he could finish, Hua Kai interrupted him. Wait a minute. Tianyun has obtained such a large number of blood and eggs, so there's no need to count them so seriously. I'll make the decision. Tianyun's blood and eggs can be exchanged for 4,000 blood refinement pills. Make it a whole number, Hua Kai announced. Yes, 8th Prince. The elder noted it down. Many thanks, 8th Prince. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Of course, Lu Ming would not reject the offer of more than 100 blood refinement pills. Immediately after, the imperial family elder put away all the blood and eggs. Of course, there were no blood refinement pills at the moment. He had to wait for the blood and eggs to be refined into blood refinement pills before he could give them to Lu Ming and the rest. Lu Ming was not afraid that the royal family would swallow his blood and eggs. Putting aside his relationship with Hua Kai, even if they did not have this relationship, the royal family would not do so. The current situation of the imperial family required the assistance of talents. If the imperial family were to swallow even these blood and eggs, then they would be short-sighted and digging their own grave. Therefore, Lu Ming was very assured. Lu Ming, this time, you've completely offended the omnipresent sword school and caused them to lose face. They won't let you off. After some time, there will definitely be stronger geniuses from the omnipresent sword school coming to look for you. You must be careful. Before they left, Hua Kai reminded Lu Ming in a low voice. Don't worry. Do you think I'm afraid? Lu Ming said with a smile. Hua Kai was stunned for a moment before he smiled. Ever since he knew Lu Ming, he had never seen Lu Ming afraid of anyone. All right, I'll be waiting for the good news of you killing everyone. Hua Kai laughed before leaving. After Hua Kai and the rest left, Lu Ming left the place and returned to the dormitory. I'll go to the Earth Yuan cave first to consolidate my cultivation. Then, I'll buy resources and break through to the next realm. After returning, Lu Ming pondered for a moment and walked towards the Earth cave. This time, he flashed his Hua Kai token, and the expert guarding the door gave him a pile of inscription stones, allowing him to cultivate for as long as he wanted. Lu Ming was secretly delighted. He took the inscription stone and entered the Earth cave. He didn't stop and continued down. On the 3rd and 4th levels, there were still people sitting cross-legged, trying to snatch other people's secret cultivation rooms. When Lu Ming passed by and they saw him, their expressions changed. Although it had only been a day since Lu Ming was in the blood and mystic realm, the news had already spread throughout the General Star Hall. Many people knew of Tianyun's name. Lu Ming's methods shocked everyone. Lu Ming had another nickname, Ruthless. They looked at Lu Ming with deep respect. Lu Ming only glanced at them casually and continued to head down. When he reached the 5th level, Lu Ming did not stop. He continued down to the 6th level. The fire-based spiritual qi on the 6th floor was several times denser than the 5th floor. Lu Ming opened a secret room, walked in, and started to cultivate. Lu Ming had devoured the blood ant's blood essence and his cultivation level had skyrocketed. His foundation was a little unstable, so he could use the fire element spiritual energy to stabilize his foundation. 10 days later, Lu Ming's foundation was extremely stable and impregnable. There were no flaws at all. At this moment, Lu Ming walked out of the earth cave. Anyway, he could come and cultivate at any time. Lu Ming did not care how long he would cultivate. After walking out of the earth cave, Lu Ming left the General Star Hall and headed towards the largest market in the imperial capital. The imperial city's city square was incomparably huge and occupied an incomparably vast area. Here, shops formed a forest and chambers of commerce gathered. There were even many chambers of commerce that were not native to the Burning Sun Empire. Instead, they came from other empires and brought with them some of the specialties of other empires. There were 36 empires near the Cloud King mountain range. The Burning Sun Empire was only a low-tier empire. Therefore, the imperial city's market was filled with people at all times. Lu Ming walked on the streets of the market, his eyes dazzled and he looked around. Not long after, Lu Ming came to a 5-story building that occupied a large area. Treasure Pavilion, 3 gold-encrusted words, exuding an extraordinary aura. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and walked in. "Young master, is there anything you need?" As soon as Lu Ming walked into the Treasure Pavilion, a sweet-looking young girl came up to him. Now, Lu Ming's bearing was extraordinary. Although he was dressed ordinarily, he exuded an extraordinary aura just by standing there casually. No one dared to ignore it. The young girl was naturally very attentive. "I'm here to buy some demonic beast blood essence." Lu Ming smiled. "Buy demonic beast blood essence?" The sweet young lady was delighted. Demonic beast blood essence was usually used to refine weapons or pills. It was extremely valuable and those who could buy it were usually big customers. "Young master, may I ask what level of demonic beast's blood essence you want to buy?" the young girl asked, suppressing the excitement in her heart. "Blood essence of a Class 9 Lever 3 demonic beast." Lu Ming said. If he wanted to buy something, he would buy the blood essence of Class 9 Lever 3 demonic beasts. Anything below Class 9 Lever 3 would not be of much help to him. "9th grade 3rd level?" the young girl suddenly exclaimed. It immediately attracted the attention of others, and the people around them all looked over. Lu Ming frowned slightly. This young girl's reaction was too big. "What's wrong? You don't have any?" Lu Ming asked. The young girl covered her mouth and looked around. When she heard Lu Ming's words, she hurriedly nodded and said, Yes, young master. The blood essence of a Class 9 Lever 3 demonic beast is extremely precious. Please follow me to the guest room. I'll ask the manager to come." "All right." Lu Ming nodded. It was fine as long as there were. He followed the young lady to a guest room at the back. Naturally, someone had prepared some high-quality tea. After a while, a chubby shopkeeper came in with a face full of smiles. As soon as he came in, he cupped his fists and said with a smile, "Young master, I heard that you want to buy the blood essence of a Class 9 Level 3 demonic beast." "Not bad," Lu Ming said. Chapter 239. Chapter 239, Bloodline Evolution. 54969039. Young master, this blood essence of a Class 9 Level 3 demonic beast is very valuable. The shopkeeper said with a smile. "Oh, how many crystals for one?" Lu Ming asked. "Class 9 Lever 3 demonic beast blood essence, 25,000 spiritual crystals for one portion," the shopkeeper replied. Silk banner. Although he was mentally prepared, Lu Ming still secretly gasped. The blood essence of a Class 9 Lever 3 demonic beast cost 25,000 spiritual crystals. That was terrifying. "Young master, the higher the level of the demonic beast blood essence, the harder it is to collect it. Furthermore, the cost of preserving it is very high." "This price is not high," the shopkeeper explained. Lu Ming nodded. Of course, he understood this logic. "How many do you need, young master?" the innkeeper asked. "Let's start with 20 portions," Lu Ming said after thinking for a while. "What? 20 servings for 2? The shopkeeper cried out in alarm, the fat on his face jiggling rapidly. "What's wrong? Don't you have that many?" Lu Ming frowned and asked. Yes, definitely. The shopkeeper shouted excitedly. He knew that a big customer had come today. Most inscription masters would only buy a few portions of demonic beast blood essence to refine pills and weapons. Why would they buy so many? Furthermore, those who would purchase the blood essence of Class 9 Lever 3 demonic beasts were usually inscription masters above the martial arts grandmaster realm. It was extremely rare to buy 20 sets of Class 9 Level 3 demonic beast blood essence at once. The shopkeeper was so excited that his heart was trembling. "I'll immediately send someone to get it," the shopkeeper called out, and then sent someone to get it. "Shopkeeper, may I know how much a Class 9 third level demonic pill is?" Lu Ming asked. "You still want to buy Yarrow cores?" The shopkeeper was even more delighted. He quickly replied, "A Class 9 Lever 3 demonic pill is much cheaper than the blood essence of demonic beasts. Demonic pills are easy to store and contain more impurities than blood essence. It's usually 1/5 the price of blood essence of the same level. One Class 9 Lever 3 demonic pill costs about 5,000 spiritual crystals." "Alright, give me 30, Lu Ming said without thinking. "Alright, please wait for a moment, young master. I'll immediately send someone to bring it over." After saying that, the shopkeeper quickly got up and walked out. After a while, the shopkeeper came in with a few young girls, carrying a few jade boxes. "Young master, the blood essence and monster core that you wanted," the shopkeeper said with a smile. Lu Ming took a look. There were 20 portions of 9th grade 3rd level demonic beast blood essence and 39th grade 3rd level demonic cores. Not a single portion was missing. Lu Ming nodded in satisfaction. He then took out a storage ring and handed it to the shopkeeper. "Shopkeeper, there are 650,000 spiritual crystals here. Please count them." The shopkeeper took it and scanned through the storage ring. His smile became even more brilliant. "Young master, since you bought so many at once, we have a special discount. We will only charge you 600,000 spiritual crystals. Also, this is the VIP card of our shop. The next time you come, you will get a 20% discount on all items." The shopkeeper took out a golden VIP card and 50,000 spirit crystals and handed them to Lu Ming. "Many thanks." Lu Ming was overjoyed and accepted it without any hesitation. Since he could save 50,000 spirit crystals, Lu Ming would not stand on ceremony. Furthermore, he would get a 20% discount when he bought things in the future. This was very tempting to Lu Ming. With a wave of his hand, he put away the blood essence and monster core. At the side, a few beautiful young girls looked at Lu Ming, their eyes shining. He had offered 600,000 spirit crystals in one go. In their hearts, Lu Ming was a high and mighty figure. How good would it be if I could gain the favor of such a person? The few young girls thought to themselves. However, they knew that it was impossible. How could a person like Lu Ming be interested in them? "Shopkeeper, farewell." Lu Ming cupped his hands and strode away. Lu Ming did not feel any heartache at spending 600,000 spirit crystals in one go. After all, he had obtained them from the disciples of the omnipresent sword sect. Once he returned to the dormitory, Lu Ming entered the supreme shrine and could not wait to start cultivating. First, Lu Ming controlled his blood meridian and swallowed a portion of 9th grade 3rd level demonic beast's blood essence. Then, he began to refine it with all his might. This time, Lu Ming did not use it to improve his cultivation. Instead, he used all the energy in the blood essence to improve the level of his blood meridian. The demon core was enough to improve his cultivation. 2 hours later, the blood essence was completely refined. On his bloodline, there were 6 blood red meridian cycles that were extremely dazzling. However, a 7th meridian cycle had yet to be born. In addition to the 3 blood ants blood essence, he had devoured 4 Class 9 Lever 3 demonic beasts blood essence in total. However, his bloodline level had not increased. The difficulty of upgrading the bloodline level was evident. Then, Lu Ming took out another blood essence of a 9th grade 3rd level demonic beast and began to devour it. After devouring it, he took out another one. Just like that, he continuously devoured 15 portions of demonic beast blood essence, all of which were used to improve his bloodline. At this time, His bloodline trembled and finally, the seventh blood-red chakra was born. When the seventh blood-red chakra was born, the snake-like spirit-devouring bloodline roared towards the sky. Its whole body glowed and expanded rapidly. It became thicker and longer. In the end, it turned into a giant python that was about 10 meters long and floated above Lu Ming's head. It's evo-levered. My soul-devouring bloodline has evo-levered again. Lu Ming was overjoyed. His soul-devouring bloodline had evo-levered once when he had advanced to rank 4. That time, it evo-levered from a finger-sized worm into a small snake. And now, it had evo-levered from a small snake to a giant python. Then, what would he become if he continued to evolve? Lu Ming was filled with anticipation. The giant python roared and opened its mouth, releasing a powerful devouring power that was several times stronger than before. Continue to devour. Lu Ming took out another portion of demonic beast blood essence. However, this time, it only took half an hour for it to be completely refined. His seventh meridian cycle became brighter. Lu Ming then refined the remaining 4 portions of demonic beast blood essence in one go. I wonder how much blood essence I will have to consume if I want to raise my bloodline to level 8. Lu Ming secretly sighed. Lu Ming then took out a demonic core and began to devour it. Refining a demonic pill was much more troublesome than refining blood essence. However, now that the devouring power of the spirit-devouring bloodline had been greatly enhanced, it would not take much time to refine it. In 3 hours, he had refined one. Lu Ming's cultivation level had improved, but not by much. He continued refining. After refining 5 pills, Lu Ming's cultivation had advanced from the early stage of the 6th grade Great Master Realm to the middle stage. The amount of energy required to improve was greater than what Lu Ming had imagined. Continue. In the next 3 days, Lu Ming refined a total of 20 demonic cores. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the 6th grade Great Master Realm. He was just 1 step away from breaking through to the 7th grade Great Master Realm. However, at this point, Lu Ming had refined a few demonic cores in a row, but it was to no avail. It was difficult for him to break through to the 7th grade Great Martial Master. Lu Ming knew that he had reached a bottleneck. During this period of time, he had improved too quickly and his realm could not keep up. He had to stop and experience tempering and fighting before he could continue improving. Chapter 240. Chapter 240, Ditien Battle Arena. 5496903339. Lu Ming left the Supreme Shrine and walked out of the dormitory. Big Brother Tianyun. As soon as he left the dormitory, he ran into Ming Feng. Ming Feng, Lu Ming said with a smile. Big Brother Tianyun, my big brother has asked me to go to the Ditien Battle Arena with him. Do you want to come along? Ming Feng said. Ditien Battle Arena. Lu Ming's eyes flickered and he looked interested. The Emperor Sky Battle Arena was extremely famous. It could be said that there was no one who did not know of it. This was because it was not established by any power in the Blazing Sun Empire. The Emperor Heaven Battle Arena was established by the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace. The Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace was an unimaginably powerful force. Not to mention the Blazing Sun Empire, even the 36 empires of the Yun Emperor were all trash in front of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. They could be destroyed with a snap of the finger. Even in the entire Divine Wilderness continent, the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace was an extremely powerful force. The Ditien Battle Arena created by the Ditien Divine Palace was spread all over the Divine Wilderness continent. There were countless of them, big and small. Among the 36 empires of Emperor Yun, only one empire had one Emperor Heaven Battle Arena. In the Ditien Battle Arena, one could kill and fight at will. One could also earn a lot of spiritual crystals. This place was both heaven and hell for martial artists. Here, human lives were like grass, but as long as one had the strength, they could win honor and wealth. Lu Ming had wanted to gain some experience. Perhaps the Emperor Sky Battle Arena was a good place to go. Let's go. We'll go find your brother. Lu Ming smiled. Haha, let's go. Ming Feng was overjoyed. He went to look for Ming City with Lu Ming. When Ming Cheng saw that Lu Ming was with him, he was naturally overjoyed. The three of them headed towards the Ditian battle arena. The Ditian battle arena was located in the southern part of the imperial capital and occupied an extremely vast area. From the outside, the Ditian battle arena was an oval-shaped building that was hundreds of meters tall. There were people standing guard at the main entrance of the Ditian battle arena. To enter the Ditian battle arena, everyone had to pay 10 spiritual crystals. This was the battle arena opened by the Emperor Sky Divine Palace, and no one dared to not pay. Even the people from the 10 Directions sword sect had to behave themselves in the Emperor Sky battle arena. The omnipresent sword school might seem powerful, but that was only in the Burning Sun Empire. When facing a power like the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, the difference was simply too great. Perhaps a random servant from the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace could annihilate the 10 Direction sword sect with a flick of his finger. Each of them paid 10 spiritual crystals and the three of them walked into the Ditian battle arena. When they entered, they discovered that the Ditian battle arena was even wider than they had imagined. The Ditian battle arena was surrounded by densely packed stands. There were at least dozens of levels and it would have no problem accommodating hundreds of thousands of people. In the center of the arena, there was a fighting ring that was 200 meters long and wide. At this moment, there were two figures engaged in an intense battle on the fighting ring. Shouts came from all around like a tide. Lu Ming swept his gaze across the crowd on the grandstand. It was bustling and not very dense, but Lu Ming estimated that there were tens of thousands of people. Lu Ming secretly sighed. The Emperor Sky battle arena was really profitable. Even if there were only tens of thousands of people watching every day, the daily income was hundreds of thousands of spirit crystals. Kill. On the arena, two burly middle-aged men roared and charged at each other, their killing intent surging. Boom. Boom. Both of them were first-grade great martial masters, and they exchanged dozens of moves. In the end, the yellow-robed man won and cut off the other party's head. Haha, I've finally achieved 6 consecutive victories. The yellow-robed man laughed. 6 consecutive wins? There should be a reward of 100 spiritual crystals, Lu Ming thought in his heart. According to the rules of the Ditian battle arena, anyone could go up to the stage to challenge as long as they paid a handling fee of 50 spiritual crystals. In the beginning, it was a battle between equals. The first 5 matches were very casual. You could challenge anyone, and there would be no rewards. From the 6th round onwards, the Ditian battle arena would arrange for stronger opponents. The winner would be rewarded with 100 spiritual crystals. 100 spiritual crystals for 6 consecutive wins, 200 for 7 consecutive wins, 500 for 8 consecutive wins, and 2,000 spiritual crystals for 10 consecutive wins. After 10 consecutive wins, if one wanted to continue the challenge, they could not challenge warriors of the same level but had to challenge warriors 1 level higher than them. Challenging opponents 1 level higher. Moreover, Ditian battle arena would not allow you to challenge as you please. They would only arrange for opponents who were stronger. For 1 win, one could get 5,000 crystals, 10,000 for 2 wins, 20,000 for 3 wins, and 10,000 for each win after that. The reward was 90,000 crystals for winning 10 consecutive battles. At this time, if he wanted to continue the challenge, he would have to cross 2 levels to fight. Of course, the rewards would be even better. He would get 100,000 crystals for winning a battle 2 levels above him, and 100,000 more for every subsequent victory. If one could win 10 times in a row, 2 levels higher, the reward would be 1 million spiritual crystals, which was extremely terrifying. The higher the level, the more terrifying the reward. This would naturally attract countless geniuses to come and challenge him. Do you still want to continue the challenge? The judge of the Ditian battle arena asked. Yes, of course I want it. The yellow-robed man was full of confidence. All right, I'll make the arrangements, the judge said. Soon, a white-haired elder walked up to the fighting ring. He was also a first-grade great martial master. Boom. Without any unnecessary words, the two of them started fighting. But this time, the old man was obviously better. After about 100 moves, he sent the yellow-robed man flying back with a punch. "I admit defeat," the yellow-robed man hurriedly shouted. In the Ditien battle arena, one could kill as they wished. If they did not admit defeat, they would only die. The yellow-robed man admitted defeat, and the white-haired old man also stopped. After that, the yellow-robed man received the reward of 100 spiritual crystals and left the fighting ring. The white-haired old man also got off the platform. "Is there anyone else who wants to challenge me?" The judge roared as he swept his gaze across the entire arena. "I'll do it." A young man in his 20s jumped onto the fighting ring, registered himself, and paid 50 spiritual crystals. "I'm a second-grade great martial master. Who's going to challenge me?" the young man said loudly as he scanned the crowd. "I'll try." A burly man leaped onto the fighting ring and started fighting with the young man. However, he was defeated by the young man after a dozen moves. After that, more and more people went up to challenge him, but they were all defeated by the young man. It was obvious that this young man was a genius. He was extremely powerful and had defeated 5 people in a row. 5 consecutive wins from a young man. Who else wants to come up for a fight? The young man was in high spirits. But for a moment, no one stepped forward. After a long while, an old woman finally jumped onto the fighting ring. "We want to test your strength," the judge said. The old woman nodded and followed the judge into a stone door. After the 5 consecutive victories, the Ditien battle arena would not allow anyone to challenge them as they wished. They would test the strength of each opponent. Those who were not strong enough would not be qualified to challenge them. Otherwise, as long as someone colluded with a group of people, they could easily win the competition and obtain the rewards. In that case, the Ditien battle arena would suffer a huge loss. Moreover, in that case, there would be nothing to see in the martial arts competition. The audience was here to see an intense battle. Chapter 241. Chapter 241, Lu Ming takes action. 54969039. Therefore, only those who had passed the test and qualified could go up and challenge. Or, there were some people who had historical battle achievements in the Emperor Sky Battle Arena, for example, those who had obtained 6 consecutive victories. They were naturally allowed to go up and fight against the person who was about to win 6 consecutive victories. Moreover, there was no need to test. Not long after, the old lady passed the test and appeared on the fighting ring. "Kill! Kill!" The audience in the surrounding stands burst out in fierce roars as they looked at the fighting ring in anticipation. They needed to see a bloody battle. That would be exciting enough. Kill! On the fighting ring, the young man and the old woman were moved by the surrounding atmosphere. They roared and charged at each other. The young man was using a sword, while the old woman was using a thin and long blade. The two of them were engaged in an intense battle. The old woman's saber technique was extremely sharp, and she was experienced. Her attacks were fierce, and the young man was no match for her in just 20 moves. Fuck! Just as the young man was about to admit defeat, the old woman's saber light suddenly accelerated. Poochie! The young man's head was cut off by the old woman's saber light before he could even say that he wanted to admit defeat. All right. Wonderful. The surrounding stands were filled with excited screams and clamors. You've killed this person and replaced him, obtaining 6 consecutive victories. Now, do you still want to continue the challenge? The judge asked the old woman. Continue. The old woman said. This old woman was very powerful. She had obviously cultivated for many years, and her martial arts skills were very profound. She won consecutively, and then won 3 more battles, obtaining 9 consecutive victories. At this moment, the old woman shook her head, indicating that she would not continue the challenge. The more she challenged, the stronger the people below would be. She was no longer confident. The surrounding audience was greatly disappointed. They naturally wanted to continue watching, because the further down they went, the more exciting it would be. The old woman received 1,000 spiritual crystals and left the fighting ring. Who's going to challenge me next? The judge's voice echoed throughout the entire arena. I'll go have some fun. Lu Ming stood up and chuckled. Big brother Tianyun, you're going to make a move? Ming Feng's eyes shone with excitement. Ming Cheng also revealed a look of anticipation. They were not worried about Lu Ming at all. They did not believe that Lu Ming would lose in a battle of the same level. Lu Ming smiled and stepped onto the fighting ring. When the judge saw that someone had entered the arena, he smiled and said, "Little brother, please register your cultivation and pay the fee." Lu Ming nodded and took out 50 spirit crystals to register. "I'm a 6th grade great martial master. Who wants to fight me?" Lu Ming scanned his surroundings. His voice was not loud, but it spread throughout the entire area. "What? He's a 6th grade great master, so young?" Most of the audience in the stands were shocked. The audience in the stands came from all over the imperial capital. Most of them did not know Lu Ming. Could he be a top genius from the 5 great sects? Someone muttered. For a moment, no one went on stage. The younger they were, the higher their cultivation. They were usually geniuses, and their battle prowess was difficult to measure. They didn't want to die in vain. "I know him. He's Tianyun, a peerless genius of the General Stars Hall. He's extremely powerful. Half a month ago, in the Blood and Secret Realm, he killed young Zitian, a peerless genius of the 10 Directions Sword School. He robbed most of the storage rings of the 10 Directions Sword School's disciples by himself." Someone shouted. "It's him. So he's Tianyun." Waves of exclamations came from the stands. In the past half a month, Tianyun's name had spread throughout the imperial capital, and the incident in the Bloodhunt realm had also spread throughout the capital. How can such a genius fight someone of the same level? Yup. Someone sighed. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He did not expect that it was not good to be too famous. There was no one to fight now. "Who's up for a fight?" Lu Ming shouted again. But still, no one went up. After a moment, a burly man stood up and said, "Young Master Tianyun, I'll fight with you, but we'll only be sparring. What do you think?" "All right." Lu Ming was overjoyed and quickly agreed. He wasn't a bloodthirsty person, so he didn't necessarily have to fight to the death. He would be satisfied as long as someone went up to the stage. The burly man moved and stepped onto the fighting ring, standing opposite Lu Ming. "This is going to be interesting." The audience in the stands all showed an expression of anticipation. Although Tianyun's name had spread throughout the imperial capital recently, there were still very few people who had personally witnessed Lu Ming in action. Naturally, everyone was looking forward to it. A large saber appeared in the middle-aged man's hand and he looked at Lu Ming cautiously. Lu Ming held the long spear and stood calmly. Bang! The middle-aged man didn't hesitate any longer and launched an attack. As soon as he attacked, he slashed 18 times in a row, each faster than the last. The saber ray whizzed and locked Lu Ming down. Lu Ming was not in a hurry to make a move. He used the mid-air step and his figure flashed slightly, leaving the burly man's attack range. Again, the burly man roared and attacked like a tide. The snow-white saber light attacked Lu Ming layer by layer. However, Lu Ming's expression was calm and indifferent. His body was as smooth as floating clouds and flowing water. He swayed slightly, causing the burly man's saber light to miss. Whoosh! Suddenly, the long spear in Lu Ming's hands stabbed out toward the burly man's saber light. With just a casual stab, the burly man's knife light disappeared, and his body became even more like a thug. "How did this happen?" the burly man shouted. Lu Ming did not use much strength and his saber technique was broken with just a casual thrust of the spear. He found it hard to accept. "Your saber technique is a black-grade low-level saber technique. It should be a combination of strength and gentleness, but you've been pursuing speed and power, which has fallen into a disadvantage. Therefore, your saber technique has been stuck at the 4th level, and it's difficult to break through to the 5th level." Lu Ming said slowly, word by word. However, these words were like a bolt of lightning in the middle-aged man's ears. He was stunned. His eyes flickered as if he was thinking about something. A moment later, the middle-aged man was overjoyed. He suddenly struck out with his saber, and 27 saber lights appeared instantly. They were extremely dazzling, and their power was much stronger than before. Haha, my saber technique has broken through. The middle-aged man laughed and looked at Lu Ming. He suddenly cupped his fists and bowed deeply, saying, "Thank you, young Master Tianyun, for your guidance. I've been enlightened. Otherwise, I don't know how long it would have taken for me to make a breakthrough in my saber technique. Young Master Tianyun is a genius. I'm truly impressed. You're welcome. You were able to break through because of your own comprehension ability. I was just throwing bricks to guide the jade." Lu Ming smiled faintly. Now, Lu Ming had even successfully cultivated an earth-level martial arts technique. His outlook was naturally different. The middle-aged man had only cultivated a black-level low-rank martial arts technique. Although Lu Ming had not cultivated any saber techniques, he had seen the world. When the middle-aged man made a few moves, Lu Ming could see the man's weakness and insufficiencies. He gave him a few casual pointers and did not expect the middle-aged man to make a breakthrough in his saber technique in one go. No matter what, young Master Tianyun's kindness is something that I cannot thank enough for. The middle-aged man saluted again, then turned around and left the fighting ring. It was obvious that he had admitted defeat. The audience in the stands were dumbfounded. This works too. Immediately, a white-haired old man hurriedly jumped onto the fighting ring and cupped his fists. He said very politely, "I'm Seong Mu, please give me some pointers, young Master Tianyun." Chapter 242. Chapter 242. Chapter 242 Unstoppable Winning Streak. 549690339. The old man looked at Lu Ming with a hopeful look. Lu Ming was young, but his understanding of martial arts was shockingly high. Just now, he had given the burly man a few words of guidance and allowed him to have a breakthrough in his martial arts technique. This made the old man's heart burn with passion. Whoa, Seong Mu is too cunning. He's one step ahead of me. Damn it, don't fight with me. It's my turn to challenge him next. Your turn. Why? Young Master Tianyun is using a spear, and so am I. It's my turn to fight in the next round. It's my turn. On the grandstand, a few 6th grade great martial master experts were actually fighting over it. The others were dumbfounded. These people were fighting to challenge Lu Ming, not because he was too weak, but because he was too strong. Such a thing was simply unheard of. Lu Ming was also in a daze. But this way, he was not worried that no one would accept his challenge. "Please." Lu Ming cupped his fists and said to the old man, "Please give me some pointers." And NBSB, the old man cupped his fists and then a long sword appeared. Whoosh! The sword light tore through the air and charged toward Lu Ming. Just like before, Lu Ming was not in a hurry to fight back. He dodged with his movement technique and observed the old man's swordsmanship at the same time. After more than 30 moves, Lu Ming's casual spear attack broke the elder's swordsmanship and he retreated rapidly, just like the burly man earlier. However, the old man was not dejected. Instead, he looked at Lu Ming with excitement and hope. Lu Ming pondered for a moment. Then, according to what he had observed and his own understanding, he explained the flaws and shortcomings of the elder's swordsmanship. After the elder heard this, he savored it carefully and was overjoyed. His face was filled with excitement as he bowed respectfully to Lu Ming and said, "This old man thanks young Master Tianyun for his guidance. There's no need to be so polite, senior," Lu Ming said with a smile. Then, the old man walked down the fighting ring, satisfied. "Young Master Tianyun, I've come to ask for your guidance." As soon as the old man got off the stage, a burly man rushed up. "I'll do it, it's my turn." On the other side, there were also people who rushed to the fighting ring. "It's my turn. Get down. You're the one who should get lost." The two of them bellowed, their killing intent bursting forth. It looked like a great battle was about to break out. The surrounding crowd was dumbfounded. Lu Ming was in similar state. "Stop. If you want to challenge, then come one by one. Otherwise, I'll cancel your right to challenge," the judge shouted, his face revealing a speechless expression. He had managed the Di Tian battle arena for many years, but this was the first time he had encountered such a situation. "Judge, I was the one who challenged first. The middle-aged man shouted. Nonsense, it's me. The other person didn't give in either. All right, you go first. You're the last one. The judge pointed at the middle-aged man and said with a sullen face. Thank you, senior. The middle-aged man was overjoyed. The other person was a little unwilling and stood to the side. The middle-aged man leaped onto the fighting ring and cupped his fists at Lu Ming. He said respectfully, Young Master Tianyun, I'm also a spear user. Please advise me. After saying that, a long spear appeared in the middle-aged man's hand. Please. Lu Ming smiled faintly. At that moment, the middle-aged burly man focused his mind and shook his long spear. More than 10 spear flowers appeared in the air and rays of spear radiance shot toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming did the same thing and dodged dozens of moves. He allowed the middle-aged burly man to perform his strongest martial arts technique and then easily defeated the other party, pointing out his weakness. The middle-aged man was naturally ecstatic and left with 1,000 thanks. Next, another person came on stage and Lu Ming restrained him according to the law. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had achieved 5 consecutive victories. However, Lu Ming's 5-win streak was completely different from the others. Every time his opponents lost, they would leave in gratitude. It seems like anything can really happen with Tianyun. Ming Cheng sighed. Ming Feng nodded his head in agreement. After the 5 consecutive wins, it would be the 6th battle. For the 6th round, a rather famous expert went up directly. This expert had once obtained 6 consecutive victories in the Di Tian battle arena. Those with historical battle records naturally didn't need to be tested and could directly attack. However, this person was still very polite to Lu Ming. He knew that he was not Lu Ming's match. He came up with the intention of seeking Lu Ming's guidance. Young Master Tianyun, please advise me. This person was also very polite. Lu Ming nodded. There was no suspense as to the result. Lu Ming easily defeated his opponent and gave him some pointers. 6 consecutive wins, 7 consecutive wins, 8 consecutive wins. Very soon, Lu Ming successfully achieved 10 consecutive victories. He won 10 consecutive victories with ease, and he didn't even injure a single person. Tianyun, you've won 10 battles in a row. If you want to continue, you'll have to challenge a 7th grade Great Martial Master. Do you still want to continue? The judge looked at Lu Ming and asked. Continue. Lu Ming nodded without hesitation. The entire audience was filled with anticipation. How many achievements could Lu Ming achieve by challenging someone 1 level higher? How many consecutive wins could he achieve? It was impossible for the Ditian battle arena to allow an ordinary 7th grade Great Martial Master to challenge someone 1 grade higher. Those who went up were definitely experts of the 7th grade Great Martial Master realm. All right. The judge nodded and looked around. Is there any 7th grade Great Martial Master challenging Tianyun? I'll do it. As soon as the judge finished speaking, a young man in his 30s stood up and went up to the fighting ring. Young Tai, you can attack me directly. When the judge saw this young man, he did not let him test his strength. Clearly, this person was rather famous in the Ditian battle arena and had obtained the judge's approval. Tianyun, go ahead. I'm not someone that those 6th grade Great Master realm martial artists from before can compare to. Yang Tai looked at Lu Ming with confidence. Please. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Boom. Yang Tai unleashed his full power. The spear in his hand emitted a dazzling light and pierced toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's long spear trembled. The body of the spear trembled and the air emitted a terrifying fluctuation. A terrifying shock wave rushed toward Yang Tai. Bang! Yang Tai was hit by the shock wave, and his body was sent flying like a cannonball, falling heavily off the fighting ring. Sigh sigh. Everyone gasped in shock. One move, just one move, without even using any martial skills, Yang Tai was sent flying out of the fighting ring with just a shake of the spear. Strength, powerful strength. In the first 10 rounds, Lu Ming was very polite. He defeated his opponent after a few dozen moves and did not display any powerful combat strength. Some people had almost forgotten about Lu Ming's ability. Now, he finally remembered that Lu Ming's combat strength was extremely terrifying. Yang Tai struggled to get up. He looked at Lu Ming in horror and staggered out of the room. Then, the challenge continued. Winning streak, an unstoppable winning streak. In less than an hour, Lu Ming had already achieved 7 consecutive victories. The entire place was abuzz with excitement. Crossing one level, he's already won 7 times in a row. Do you guys think that Tianyun will be able to cross one level and win 10 times in a row? It's hard to say. At this point, Di Tian Battle Arena probably won't be able to sit still and will send out a true expert. Up until now, Di Tian Battle Arena still hasn't sent out a Death Warrior. That's right. In my opinion, Di Tian Battle Arena will send out Death Fighters for the next round. Chapter 243. Chapter 243. Chapter 243. 2 levels. 549690339. There were 2 main types of challenges. The first was to choose an opponent on the spot. If there were no challengers on the spot, the Ditian Battle Arena would send an expert. The Ditian Battle Arena's strength was unfathomable. Naturally, it had raised a group of experts. The experts sent by the Ditian Battle Arena were known as Death Fighters. Just from the name, one could tell that the Death Warriors were all-powerful and fearless people. If he attacked, he would definitely see blood. Tianyun, please wait a moment, the judge said to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. In a luxurious room at the highest point of Ditian Battle Arena, there was a window that allowed one to view the entire Ditian Battle Arena. At this moment, there were a few old men watching. This Tianyun is extremely powerful. It's time to send out the Death Warriors. One of the black-clothed elders said. That's right. However, ordinary Death Warriors are definitely not Tianyun's match. I suggest that we let 18 go first. If 18 can't win, then we'll let 17 go. Another old man said. I agree. I also agree. The other old men nodded. Then, they passed down the order. Not long after, an extremely tall and strong man covered in scars rushed into the fighting ring. The burly man's entire body was filled with a murderous aura. His eyes were like those of a wild beast as he glared at Lu Ming. The word 18 was carved on the man's face. Number 18 is Ditian Battle Arena's Death Fighter. Furthermore, it's number 18. When the audience saw this big man, they all exclaimed in shock. It said that only the Death Warriors with extremely strong combat strength are qualified to have words carved on their faces. It said that there are 5 strongest 7th grade Great Martial Masters in the Ditian Battle Arena, from 16 to 20. This 18 is one of them. Seems like the Ditian Battle Arena really values Tianyun. Of course, if Tianyun were to win 10 consecutive victories, he would have to pay 90,000 spiritual crystals. How could the Ditian Battle Arena let Tianyun win so easily? That's true. Wonderful. The 10 spiritual crystals today were so well spent. I guess those who didn't come will regret it to death. Lu Ming's gaze flickered slightly and he looked at 18. Lu Ming could sense a strong murderous aura from the other party. Di Tian Battle Arena's Death Warriors? It's finally getting interesting. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curled into a smile. A hint of fighting spirit flashed in his eyes. Tianyun, you've got to be careful. 18 won't show any mercy. The judge was kind to a genius like Lu Ming and he reminded him. Many thanks. Lu Ming smiled faintly. All right, let's begin, the judge announced. Roar. With the judge's announcement, 18 let out a beast-like roar. With a move of his hand, a meteor hammer appeared. The meteor hammer let out a terrifying howl and smashed toward Lu Ming. The meteor hammer was a strange weapon. It was very difficult to master, but once it was mastered, it would be very powerful. The meteor hammer was like a shooting star, blasting toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming did not dodge. Instead, he thrust his spear. Ding, ding. The tip of the spear accurately pierced the meteor hammer, making a deafening sound. The long spear did not move at all, but the meteor hammer was sent flying back at a speed even faster than before. 18's ferocious expression changed drastically. He leaped up high and dodged the meteor hammer. The meteor hammer slammed onto the fighting ring, emitting a violent boom. If it wasn't for the inscription formation inscribed by the experts of the Detian battle arena, it would have exploded. This 18 is probably comparable to an ordinary 8th grade great martial master. Lu Ming's heart stirred. However, an ordinary 8th grade great martial master was nothing in front of Lu Ming. Buzz. After that, Lu Ming took a step forward and appeared in front of 18 like a ghost. He then swept his spear at 18. Boom. 18 blocked with the iron chain, but it was useless. Lu Ming's spear hit her directly. She flew more than 100 meters away with the meteor hammer before she stopped. He had won. Tianyun had won. He had won in a clean and direct manner. The entire audience looked at Lu Ming in shock. They were not surprised that Lu Ming would win. However, they were shocked that Lu Ming won so easily. At the highest point of the Detian battle arena, the few old men watched, their eyes glimmering. This Tianyun is definitely a peerless genius. He's a demonic-level peerless genius. Only other peerless geniuses who are one level higher than him can fight him. It'll be very difficult for anyone else to stop him. An old man sighed. That's right. I feel that this Tianyun hasn't even used most of his strength. Even if 16 were to go up, she wouldn't be his match. Then let him obtain 10 consecutive victories. Of course, this is a good thing. When the time comes, as long as we operate a little, we'll be the ones to make a big profit. Haha, that's right. Then, let 17 and 16 go up. Not only were the elders not unhappy, their faces were filled with joy. Next, a man with a 17-year-old carved on his face came up. He was still no match for Lu Ming. 9 consecutive wins. After 9 consecutive wins, a girl in her 20s came up. The word 16 was engraved on her face. This woman's strength was a whole lot stronger than the previous 17 and 18. She had actually comprehended force. Unfortunately, he was still a far cry from Yang Zitian. He was no match for Lu Ming at all. Lu Ming's power of fire burst out and he defeated his opponent easily. 10 consecutive wins. Lu Ming had challenged someone one level higher and achieved 10 consecutive wins. According to the rules, he could get 90,000 spiritual crystals as a reward. Tianyun, do you wish to continue the challenge? The judge looked at Lu Ming and asked. At that moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Lu Ming. Their eyes were filled with anticipation. If he continued to challenge, he would have to cross 2 levels. Although it was rare to have 10 consecutive wins against someone one level higher, there would still be one every once in a while. However, there were very few people who could cross 2 levels and defeat them. For a battle that was 2 levels higher than him, he would be rewarded 100,000 spiritual crystals for one win, and for every victory he won, he would be rewarded with an additional 100,000 spiritual crystals. How tempting was this? However, there were too few people who could obtain it. The current 6 heroes of the Scorching Sun were all geniuses who had challenged opponents 2 levels above them and won. Among the 6 heroes, 5 of them had 4 consecutive victories across 2 levels. Only the leader of the 6 heroes, Qiu Changkong, the peerless genius of the 10 Direction Sword School, had achieved a record of 7 consecutive victories across 2 levels. It was also the Burning Sun Empire's highest achievement in the past 100 years. Would Tianyun accept it? I choose to continue the challenge. Lu Ming said without hesitation. 90,000 crystals was too little for 10 consecutive wins. Crossing 2 levels was Lu Ming's goal. He was tempted by the rewards and he would not miss it. Whoosh. The scene was in an uproar as everyone became excited. Tianyun had agreed to continue the challenge. There was going to be a good show to watch. It was not common to see a challenge that was 2 levels higher. Seeing that Lu Ming had agreed, the judge revealed a happy smile and said, Tianyun, we'll need to arrange for people to take on the challenge that's 2 levels above us. We can't start it immediately, and it'll take 3 days. Are you willing to do so? 3 days later. Lu Ming was stunned. He then nodded in agreement. Chapter 244. Chapter 244, Detian Auction House. 54969039. Alright, we'll continue the challenge 3 days later. The judge revealed a happy smile and cupped his fists in all directions. Everyone, the day after tomorrow will be the day of the grand auction that the Ditien auction house holds once every half a year. I hope that everyone can attend it. The challenges for today will end here. An auction. Lu Ming was stunned and he showed a look of interest. Then, he walked down the fighting ring. Big brother Tianyun, I'm starting to admire you more and more. Do your best in 3 days. When that time comes, you'll break the record of the 6 heroes of the Scorching Sun and your name will shake the entire Blazing Sun Empire. As soon as he got off the fighting ring, Ming Feng ran over impatiently and said excitedly. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Among the 6 heroes, the other 5 had won 4 consecutive victories across 2 levels, while Qiu Changkong had won 7 consecutive victories across 2 levels. Could he break through? To be honest, Lu Ming was not confident. Sometimes, it also depended on luck. If one was 2 levels higher and encountered geniuses on the level of the 6 heroes of the Scorching Sun, it would be difficult to win. Lu Ming shook his head and did not think too much about it. The 3 of them left the arena and walked towards the General Star Hall. Big brother Tianyun, the Ditien auction will be held the day after tomorrow. Do you want to go? Ming Feng asked. Of course I'm going. Lu Ming said with a smile. Then let's go together. I'll call my sister, Ming Feng said. Lu Ming nodded. He pondered for a moment and said, Ming Cheng, Ming Feng, you guys go back first. I still have something to do. All right. Ming Cheng and Ming Feng nodded and returned to the General Star Hall. Lu Ming walked towards the market. The Ditien auction could be considered as one of the side businesses of the Ditien battle arena. It was not held frequently and was usually held once every half a year. However, many precious treasures would appear every time. Lu Ming was also rather tempted. However, he had less than 200,000 spiritual crystals on him now, which was too little. If he found a treasure that he liked and didn't have enough spiritual crystals to buy it, he would be vomiting blood. Therefore, Lu Ming planned to sell all the miscellaneous items he had on him. He had all kinds of smithing materials, spiritual herbs, pills, spiritual weapons, and many cultivation methods and martial arts techniques on him. They piled up into mountains and Lu Ming had no use for them. He planned to sell them all. After arriving at the market, Lu Ming went into each shop and sold a portion of the goods. 3 hours later, Lu Ming had sold all the items. He had sold those things for a total of 300,000 spiritual crystals. In addition to the spiritual crystals he had on him before, he had almost 500,000 spiritual crystals. 500,000 yuan should be enough. After that, Lu Ming returned to the dormitory. The next day, a piece of news spread wildly in the imperial capital. The unparalleled genius of the General Stars Hall, Tianyun, will be challenging a person 2 levels above him at the Ditien battle arena. He has the hope of breaking the record of the 6 Scorching Sun heroes. This news caused a huge commotion the moment it spread. Challenge the record of the 6 heroes of the Scorching Sun? No one had been able to do it in the past few years. Countless people were discussing and guessing. Naturally, Lu Ming had also heard the news. The first thing that came to Lu Ming's mind was the Ditien battle arena. This news was definitely released by the Ditien battle arena. There was no other reason other than to let more people go and watch the battle 3 days later. How many spiritual crystals could the Ditien battle arena earn in that case? Lu Ming smiled bitterly. This Ditien battle arena was too good at seizing opportunities to make money. However, Lu Ming did not care. A day passed by quickly. The next day, Lu Ming, Ming Chen, Ming Feng, and Ming Zhu headed to the Ditien auction house. The Ditien auction house wasn't far from the Ditien battle arena. Young Master Tianyun, you are a distinguished guest. Please follow me to the guest room. The moment Lu Ming's group of 4 arrived at the Ditien auction house, an incomparably beautiful young lady welcomed them. VIP room? The 4 of them were stunned. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He guessed that this was the doing of the Ditien martial arts arena. Of course, he would not reject it. The four of them followed the young lady and arrived at a VIP room. The Ditien auction house was divided into two parts. One was the main hall, which was where the ordinary bidders sat. On the second floor above the main hall, there were rooms for distinguished guests surrounding the main hall. In the VIP room, the environment was elegant, and there were tea, fruits, and snacks. It was comfortable and quiet. Those who could enter the VIP room represented their status. The four of them entered VIP room number 7. They sat in the VIP room and looked outside through the glass. There were at least 50,000 people in the hall. Furthermore, the number of people was still increasing. So many people. Ming Feng looked outside excitedly. The treasure later is the most important. Even if we can't afford it, it's still good to broaden our horizons. Ming Zhu said with a smile. She looked at Lu Ming with a complicated expression. She knew that if it were not for Lu Ming, how would the three of them be qualified to enter the VIP room? Half a year ago, she had also been here, but only in the hall. After a moment, an old man in a white robe walked up to the high platform in front of the hall. The hall fell silent. I am Du Ji, the host of this auction. Thank you all for coming. Now, the auction will officially begin. First, let's bring out the first item of the day. The white-robed old man said in a clear voice. Then, a beautiful woman with a curvy figure brought out a jade plate. On the jade plate, there was a piece of red metal. Everyone, I'm sure you've already seen that this is a piece of red rock spirit iron, the best material to forge a level 4 spiritual weapon. The starting price is 10,000 spiritual crystals, and each increment must be no less than 1,000 spiritual crystals, Du Ji announced. 10,000 crystals? So expensive. Ming Feng was secretly speechless. This is a material that can be used to forge 4th-level spiritual weapons, so of course it's expensive. Ming Zhu said. As Du Ji's voice fell, someone immediately made a bid. I bid 11,000 spiritual crystals. I'll pay 12,000. Slowly, the price rose to $22,000, and it was bought by an old man. Next is a bottle of elixir, which is very useful for Grandmaster Realm martial artists. The starting price is 800 spiritual crystals, and each bid must be no less than 100 spiritual crystals. Then, it was the second item. It was impossible for every item to be as expensive as the first one, which cost tens of thousands of spiritual crystals. Not many warriors below the martial arts Grandmaster level could afford it. I'll pay 1,000 spiritual crystals. I bid $1,100. Soon, a group of martial grandmasters began to bid. Lu Ming sipped his tea while watching. Lu Ming was not interested in pills that could increase the cultivation of a martial grandmaster. This kind of pill would have some effect on ordinary martial artists, but to him, the effect was very small. It was far less effective than buying yarrow cores to refine. However, it was different for others. They didn't have a heaven-defying bloodline like the spirit-devouring bloodline. It was very rare for them to have elixirs that could improve their cultivation base. Soon, the price of the elixir was raised to 2,000 spiritual crystals. $2,100. Ming Zhu also began to bid, her eyes revealing a look of desire. $2,200. However, someone immediately added it. $2,300. $2,500. The price continued to rise. Ming Zhu sighed. This price was too high for her, and she could only give up helplessly. Chapter 245. Chapter 245. Chapter 245 Innate Original Fluid. 549690339, $3,000. Suddenly, a clear voice rang out and spread throughout the entire place. Ming Zhu was stunned because the voice was Lu Ming's. Lu Ming had his eyes on this bottle of pills. Since Lu Ming had made a bid, Ming Zhu would not make a bid. 3,100. Someone in the hall continued to bid. $4,000. Lu Ming smiled and increased the bid to 4,000 spiritual crystals. The crowd fell silent. Lu Ming made a bid without any hesitation and added 900 spiritual crystals at once. It was obvious that he was determined to win. Ming Zhu, Ming Cheng, and Ming Feng were also a little surprised. Although this bottle of pills was good, it was only more effective for martial artists at the lower ranks of the Grand Martial Master. With Lu Ming's cultivation, it would not be of much use. She did not know why Lu Ming was so interested. "Are there any more bids?" Duji asked. No one made a bid. After that, Duji asked 3 times, but no one made a bid. This bottle of pills naturally belonged to Lu Ming. After a while, a beautiful young lady came in with the pills. Lu Ming took out 4,000 spiritual crystals and handed them to her. "Mingzhu, this bottle of pills is for you." Lu Ming took the pill and passed it to Mingzhu. "Give it to me." Mingzhu was stunned. At the side, Ming Cheng and Ming Feng were also a little stunned. The pill that Lu Ming had bid for earlier was for Mingzhu? "I saw that you wanted it just now, so I bought it for you." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "No, I can't accept such a precious pill." Although Mingzhu was very eager, she still refused. "You're welcome. It's just a bottle of pills," Lu Ming said with a smile. "Sister, just accept it. You can't waste Big Brother Tianyun's good intentions." Ming Feng chuckled as he blinked his eyes at the pearl. His eyes were filled with an inexplicable smile. "That's right, second sister, you should accept it." Ming Cheng smiled like a cunning fox. Mingzhu's face suddenly turned red. It was unknown what she was thinking. Her large eyes were filled with tears, and her voice was as soft as a mosquito. "Thank you very much, young Master Tianyun." Having said that, he took the bottle from Lu Ming's hands, his eyes filled with joy. At the side, Ming Cheng and Ming Feng grinned. They looked at Lu Ming and then at Mingzhu. They nodded from time to time. "What are you laughing at?" Lu Ming looked at the two of them speechlessly. He didn't think too much about it. He just saw that he wanted the pearl, so he bought it. It didn't cost many spiritual crystals, as a way to thank him for the help the pearl had given him when he entered the General Star Hall. The auction continued, item after item being auctioned off. Some of them were extremely rare, and the price went up to tens of thousands of crystals. Some were only worth a few hundred crystals. However, Lu Ming was a little disappointed. These items were of no use to him and he was not interested in them. As for Ming City and Ming Feng, they had their eyes on a few and participated in the bidding. Soon, more than 100 items fell into the hands of different people. The next item is the last item of this auction. Of course, it is also the most precious. At this moment, Duji said loudly, "It's time to auction the finale item." The atmosphere at the scene instantly rose. Every auction would have a finale item, and they were all treasures that were extremely rare. Lu Ming was slightly interested. Duji saw that the atmosphere had been raised and revealed a satisfied smile. He clapped his hands and a young lady walked over with a jade plate. The jade plate was covered with a golden silk gauze, so it was impossible to see what was inside. You have to know the use of this treasure. Everyone knows that in the cultivation of martial arts, although the physical body is not the foundation, it is also an extremely important auxiliary path. Those with a strong physical body not only have strong vitality and amazing recovery ability, but it can also greatly enhance the combat power of the martial artist. There are even many other wonderful uses. Duji began to explain the uses of the physical body. Could it be a treasure that can help with physical cultivation? Lu Ming's interest was immediately aroused. Many people at the scene also revealed looks of anticipation. Duji smiled and continued, "However, it's extremely difficult to train one's physical body. If you rely on cultivation techniques to train slowly, the speed will be extremely slow. It'll also consume a lot of energy. However, there are shortcuts. There are many treasures in the world that can quickly temper the body and enhance the strength of the body in a short time. There are strong and weak treasures, and the effects are different." Duji didn't seem to be in a hurry and explained slowly, but the others were holding it in and immediately shouted, "What kind of treasure is it? Why don't you tell me?" "That's right. What is it? Open it and see. If you want to know, it's simple. I'll ask you a question, and you'll know. Among all the treasures in the world, What is the treasure that has the greatest effect on the physical body? What kind of treasure is most effective for the physical body? Needless to say, it was naturally the innate original liquid. Why? Don't tell me you have the innate original liquid. A voice rang out, somewhat in disbelief. There was a sudden silence. Some were shocked, but then they shook their heads secretly. Innate original liquid? How was that possible? It was said that the carnate original liquid was a treasure that could only be formed after millions of years. There were even many carnate original liquids that were only born when the world was created. It was extremely helpful to the body and was known as the number one in the world. Of course, there were also differences in the innate original liquid. According to the different effects, it was divided into 4 levels: low grade, medium grade, high grade, and top grade. However, even a low-grade primordial origin liquid was a rare treasure in the world and extremely precious. The fire spiritual milk that Lu Ming had obtained back then could also temper the body. However, it was trash when compared to the innate original liquid. Ha ha ha, my friend, you guessed right. This treasure is the innate original liquid. Du Jiha laughed. What? This time, it was a big deal. The entire place was in an uproar. It really was the innate original liquid, which was beyond everyone's expectations. How is that possible? It really is the primordial original liquid. Get it, I must get it. Countless people roared, their eyes burning with fire. They looked at the tray in the hands of the young girl on the high platform, wishing they could take it for themselves. In guest room number 7, Lu Ming's eyes were burning with passion. The 3 Ming siblings were so shocked that their mouths were wide open. Du Ji was very satisfied with the reaction of the crowd. The more enthusiastic the crowd was, the higher the price would be later. Du Ji stretched out his hand and pressed it down slightly, saying, "Calm down for a moment." The scene instantly fell silent. Although this treasure is the innate stock solution, it's only a low-grade innate stock solution and there's not much of it. Du Ji said. Everyone nodded in agreement. It was only normal for it to be of low grade. How could it possibly appear in the Blazing Sun Empire? Even if it did appear, not many people would be able to afford it. At this moment, Du Ji reached out and removed the gauze on the tray, revealing a red stone ball. This is the innate original liquid. Everyone revealed a puzzled expression. Chapter 246. Chapter 246. Chapter 246. Get lost if you don't have money. 549690339. This stone ball contains the innate original fluid. There aren't many of them, only 9 drops. Du Ji explained with a smile. 9 drops. That's enough. Someone muttered. On the other hand, some people looked excited. The innate original fluid was too precious. Not many people could afford it if there were too many of them. However, if there were only 9 drops, it was worth a try. Moreover, even if there were only 9 drops, the effect was still very shocking. 9 drops of primordial origin liquid. I want them. Lu Ming looked at the stone ball, his eyes filled with determination. His body had been stuck at complete grade 2 for a long time and had not broken through. As long as he obtained the 9 drops of innate origin liquid, his body would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. It would be easy for him to break through to grade 3. If that was the case, his combat strength would have a huge increase. The 9 drops of primordial origin liquid have been studied by the elders of the Ditian battle arena. There is no mistake. Alright, the bidding will begin now. The starting price for each drop of primordial origin liquid is 10,000 spiritual crystals. 9 drops will make the starting price 90,000 spiritual crystals. Each increment must not be less than 5,000 spiritual crystals. Du Ji announced. Sigh. Many people gasped and looked dejected. Even though he had expected this, he was still shocked when he heard the price. 90,000 spiritual crystals. Most of the people's anger was extinguished. 100,000 spiritual crystals. Although the price was high, not everyone could afford it. Immediately, someone called out a bid from one of the VIP rooms. From the voice in guest room number 3, he seemed to be very young. 110,000. Then, an old voice came from guest room number 9. 120,000. In the hall, a voice suddenly rang out. Everyone looked over and saw a tall and strong man. 150,000. In guest room number 3, the young voice sounded, but it was a little cold. 160,000. Immediately after, the bidder from VIP room number 9 followed suit. In the hall, the burly man's eyes flickered as he stared at the stone ball on the high platform. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. But in the end, he let out a long sigh and gave up on bidding. 160,000 spiritual crystals was more than all his wealth. He could only give up 170,000. The bidder in VIP room number 3 continued to raise the bid. 180,000. Guest room number 9 did not give in at all. At this moment, Lu Ming did not make a bid. There was no need to do so now. He would bid later. It was the same. Honored guest room number 3 and honored guest room number 9 competed with each other. Very quickly, the price of the innate original liquid shot up to a high of 250,000. At this moment, the voice in guest room number 3 was extremely cold. At this moment, 5 young men were sitting in guest room number 3. However, the 5 young men's expressions were not good. Where did this old man come from? How dare he compete with senior brother Choming for the treasure? He's really looking for death. A young man with a slightly pale face said with killing intent. That's right. It seems like he doesn't know that we're disciples of the 10 Direction Sword School. The other man said coldly. Among the 5 people, the one sitting in the middle was a handsome young man in a blue robe. His expression was very cold. Frowning, he looked at VIP room 9 and said, "Senior, I'm Choming, a disciple of the 10 Direction Sword sect. These 9 drops of innate origin liquid are very useful to me. I hope you can give them to me." His words were very polite, but his voice was cold and filled with killing intent. An extremely powerful aura spread out from guest room number 3. This was clearly a threat. A disciple of the 10 Direction Sword School. The people in the hall were all shocked, and their eyes revealed fear. A member of the Cho family of the 10 Direction Sword sect. An old voice came from the 9th VIP room. An old man was sitting inside, but he looked scared. Not bad. Choming replied coldly. Forget it. I'll give these 9 drops of primordial origin liquid to you young people. The old man in guest room number 9 pondered for a while and finally sighed. The 10 Direction Sword sect was a huge force in the Blazing Sun Empire, and not many people dared to offend them. Choming smiled when the old man left. 250000 250000. Any higher bids? Duji looked around and asked. This is the innate original fluid. It's very rare in the world, even in the Blazing Sun Empire. Its effect on the body is extremely amazing. If we miss today, who knows when we'll get another chance? 250,000. Is there a higher bid? Duji tried his best to tempt him. Choming's performance just now had made him very dissatisfied, so he naturally shouted to his heart's content. This old man. Choming gritted his teeth and glared at Duji unhappily. If looks could kill, Duji would have been pierced through like a sieve. 300,000. At this moment, a clear voice suddenly rang out and spread throughout the entire place, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. Someone made a bid. Even after knowing that it was a disciple of the 10 Directions Sword School, he still dared to make a bid. Who was he? Everyone's eyes immediately turned to the 7th VIP room. That's right, the one who bid just now was Lu Ming. Moreover, he increased the bid by 50,000 in one go, pushing the price to 300,000. 300,000. Okay, this friend here bids 300,000. Is there anyone higher than 300,000? Duji was overjoyed as he announced. Bang! In guest room number 3, Choming slammed his palm on the table and broke it into pieces. His face was extremely dark. Where did this blind brat come from? He clearly knows that we are disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School, yet he still dares to bid. Is he looking for death? The pale-faced young man roared, and his voice reverberated throughout the entire area. I bid 300,000 spiritual crystals. Are you going to make another bid? Lu Ming pursed his lips and said indifferently, You're looking for death. Qiu Ming finally couldn't take it anymore and shouted, Kid, I'll give you 5 breaths to take back your bid. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die an ugly death. If you have money, pay. If you don't have money, why are you still here chirping? Get lost. This was Lu Ming's response. It was strong and overbearing. Everyone in the auction hall was shocked. This mysterious person was actually so domineering that he told the 10 Direction Sword School to get lost. You. Qiu Ming's face was livid with anger. A powerful aura spread out and enveloped the 7th guest room. Brat, I'm going to kill you now. Qiu Ming roared. You can try. Lu Ming responded strongly. The other party's cultivation was at the 8th grade Grandmaster realm and was extremely powerful. However, what did Lu Ming have to fear? Die. Qiu Ming roared and walked out of the VIP room, heading for VIP room number 3. Impudent. Suddenly, Duji roared out as an extremely terrifying aura exploded out, pressing down on Qiu Ming like a mountain. Qiu Ming's body trembled, and he could not move. This was the aura of a martial arts grandmaster. Everyone was shocked. They did not expect this kind-looking Duji to be a martial arts grandmaster. Old man, what are you doing? Are you looking for death? I'm a disciple of the 10 Direction Sword School. Qiu Ming roared. What dogs hit 10 Direction Sword Sect? How dare you cause trouble in the Emperor Sky Auction House? Kill. Duji shouted. The word kill contained boundless killing intent. Chapter 247. Chapter 247. Chapter 247 Physical Body Improvement. 54969039. Qiu Ming shivered. He was used to acting like a tyrant, and he had only shouted out in passing. At this moment, he finally remembered that this was the Emperor Sky Auction House, and Duji was a member of the Emperor Sky Divine Palace. Even if he killed Duji, the 10 Swords sect wouldn't dare to let out a fart. Qiu Ming's body stiffened at the thought of this, and he broke out in a cold sweat. Senior, I was wrong. I was just a bit impatient just now. I hope Senior doesn't take offense. Qiu Ming quickly cried out and begged. Get back to your room, Duji shouted. Qiu Ming hurried back to VIP room number 3 as if he had been pardoned. Damn it. After Qiu Ming returned to the VIP room, he let out a low roar. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Just now, he had lost a lot of face. He would definitely become a laughingstock. This was all because of Lu Ming. Investigate. I must find out who that kid is. I'm going to grind his bones to dust. Qiu Ming growled. Senior brother Qiu Ming, I know who he is. Suddenly, a young man who had been silent the entire time spoke. You know? Qiu Ming looked at the young man. This man is Tianyun of the General Stars Hall. I will never forget his voice no matter what. The young man said through gritted teeth. This young man was one of the 6 geniuses from the 10 Direction Sword Sect, who had comprehended force in the blood and secret realm. Tianyun. It's him. Good, very good. I came here to kill him, but now he actually dares to snatch the innate original liquid from me. He really brought this on himself. Qiu Ming said coldly. Senior brother Qiu Ming, there are only 2 days left before Tianyun challenges a person 2 levels above him at the Di Tian Battle Arena. We'll go kill him then. You still want to challenge the record of the Scorching Sun 6 heroes? Dream on. The pale-faced young man sneered. Alright, I'll let him live for 2 more days. I'll let him have these 9 drops of primordial origin liquid first. When I kill him, the primordial origin liquid will be mine. Qiu Ming said coldly. 300,000 spiritual crystals. Is there a higher price? In the hall, Duji continued to host the auction. The audience was silent. This auction was not targeted at powerhouses above the martial Grandmaster realm. Most of them were martial artists in the Grandmaster realm. 300,000 spiritual crystals was not a small amount for a martial Grandmaster, let alone a Grandmaster. Therefore, no one continued to bid. Duji asked 3 times but no one made a bid. The 9 drops of primordial origin liquid were successfully won by Lu Ming. Lu Ming paid the spirit crystals and kept the stone in the supreme shrine. The auction came to an end. Lu Ming, Ming Cheng, and the rest returned to the General Star Hall. Lu Ming then entered the supreme shrine and took out the stone. The stone was about the size of a fist, and it gave off a shocking amount of essence qi when held in his hand. There were 9 drops of primordial origin liquid sealed inside. Lu Ming did not hesitate. He held the stone in his hand and squeezed it hard. Catcha! The stone cracked open, and an even denser essence qi spread out. Then, a drop of primordial original liquid seeped out from the crack. The innate original liquid was as black as ink, but it also emitted a little bit of luster. It was very magical. Lu Ming opened his mouth and inhaled the drop of primordial origin liquid. He placed the rest into a jade box and circulated the flaming Vajra art to begin refining. The carnate original liquid transformed into an endless amount of essence that seeped into his muscles, bones, and bones. Under the guidance of the flaming Vajra arts, it continuously strengthened Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's physical strength increased rapidly. His fleshly body, which had been stuck at complete grade 2, also began to break through. 2 hours later, Lu Ming's body trembled. His bones and bones emitted crackling sounds like fried beans. His muscles squirmed continuously and only calmed down after a long time. 3rd grade body. I've finally achieved initial success in the 3rd grade body, Lu Ming muttered, his face full of joy. The innate original liquid was indeed known as the #1 body-tempering treasure in the world. Just a drop of low-grade innate original liquid had allowed Lu Ming's physical body to break through smoothly and reach the 3rd grade initial success of the physical body. His body had reached the 3rd grade and was even more powerful. This made Lu Ming's explosive power stronger and his combat strength greatly improved. Continue, Lu Ming muttered. Then, he swallowed the 2nd drop of primordial origin liquid and began refining it. At the 3rd grade body, it was more difficult to improve as compared to the 2nd grade body. However, with the help of the innate stock solution, Lu Ming's body was still improving rapidly. After more than a day, Lu Ming had cultivated the flaming Vajra arts to the Great Circle stage in one go. In other words, Lu Ming's physical body had already reached the Great Circle of the 3rd grade physical body. The 8 drops of primordial origin liquid had also been completely refined. If I want to continue improving my physical body, I have to find a higher level physical body cultivation technique. Lu Ming was deep in thought. The flaming Vajra arts could only cultivate the physical body to complete 3rd grade at most, and that was already the limit. What powerful physical strength! My combat strength has increased by at least 30%. Lu Ming's eyes were extremely bright. At this moment, his expression changed as he heard a light knock on the door. With a thought, he left the Supreme Shrine and opened the door. It was the 3 Ming siblings. Big brother Tianyun, today is your challenge to cross 2 levels, Ming Feng said hurriedly. Lu Ming smacked his head. He was so engrossed in refining the carnate original liquid that he almost forgot the time. Let's go. Immediately, the 4 of them hurried to the Ditien battle arena. At this moment, the Ditien battle arena was already filled with people. All the seats were filled with people, and it could be described as a sea of people. There were no less than 300,000 people. Everyone had to pay an entrance fee of 10 spiritual crystals. The income of the Ditien battle arena today was no less than 3 million spiritual crystals. It was truly terrifying. However, at this moment, the Ditien battle arena was in an uproar. Why isn't Tianyun here yet? What the hell? It can't be that he's not coming, right? No, then I've come for nothing. I'll give you back your spirit crystals. I'm not watching anymore. I gave up a mission to come and take a look. It can't be that bad, right? In the crowd, Chioming and the others stood there with a grim expression on their faces. This Tianyun, could it be that he knows that he offended senior brother Chioming during the last auction and is afraid to come? I think it's 90% true. A few disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School deliberately discussed loudly. This time, dozens of disciples from the 10 Directions Sword sect had come. The Detian battle arena's higher-ups, a few elders, also frowned as they looked down. What's wrong with Tianyun? Why isn't he here yet? I've already sent someone to pick them up. A few of the elders discussed in low voices. Suddenly, an old man's expression changed. He revealed a smile and said, Tianyun, you're here. At this moment, Tianyun walked through the gates of the Detian battle arena and strode towards the battle stage. Tianyun, you're here. It was unknown who shouted, but the entire place suddenly quieted down. Hundreds of thousands of pairs of eyes turned to look at the entrance. Lu Ming walked in front and strode forward. The three Ming siblings followed behind him. Ha, Tianyun's here. Looks like he's been delayed by something. With his talent, how could he not come? Who was the one who said that Tianyun would be afraid to come? He's really using his own yardstick to measure the heart of a gentleman. The crowd was excited, but the disciples of the 10 Directions Sword School had ugly expressions. Weren't they the ones who had said those words just now? Chapter 248. Chapter 248. Chapter 248 Continuous Killing. 54969039. It's good that you're here. You're still going to die, Choming said with a dark expression. The three Ming siblings went up to the grandstand while Lu Ming walked up to the battle stage in the middle. Everyone's eyes were focused on Lu Ming, who was on the fighting ring. Alright, now the Tianyun challenge has officially begun. Who wants to come up for a fight? The judge announced loudly. I'll give it a try. An old man shouted as he stepped onto the fighting ring. It's a monster from Mang Mountain. He's an 8th grade Great Master, and has won 7 consecutive battles against his peers. He's considered an expert even among the 8th grade Great Master realm, and is qualified to be Tianyun's first candidate. As soon as the old man went up the stage, someone recognized him. You can fight. The judge nodded and acknowledged the strength of the monster of Minute Mountain. Young Master Tianyun, please. The monster of Xiao Mountain fixed its gaze on Lu Ming, its body exuding a powerful aura. Lu Ming smiled and a long spear appeared in his hands. Bang! The monster of Mang Mountain took a step forward and rushed toward Lu Ming. Wind staff technique. The monster of Xiao Mountain bellowed. The dragon-headed walking stick in his hand was like a whirlwind, striking at Lu Ming one after another. The monster of Mang Mountain revealed his absolute strength as soon as he attacked. Even among 8th grade Great Martial Masters, he was one of the top fighters. Lu Ming thrust his long spear and engaged in a fierce battle with the monster of Xiao Mountain. He didn't use his aura. Although the monster of Mang Mountain was quite strong, he didn't need aura. After more than 10 moves, the monster from Xiao Mountain was sent flying by Lu Ming's spear. The defeat of the monster of Xiao Mountain was within everyone's expectations. However, the experts who would come up later would also become stronger and stronger. The real challenge had just begun. Who's going to fight? Lu Ming scanned his surroundings. Tianyun, I'm coming to kill you. With a loud shout, a disciple of the 10 Directions Sword School jumped onto the fighting ring. For a sect disciple like the 10 Directions Sword Sect, who could reach this level of cultivation at such a young age, they were all geniuses and almost didn't need to test their strength. Tianyun, if you know what's good for you, quickly return the primordial origin liquid to senior brother Choming, then kneel down and apologize to the 10 Directions Sword Sect in front of everyone. If you do that, I'll consider only crippling your cultivation and sparing your dog life. The disciple of the 10 Directions Sword Sect shouted coldly. He was extremely arrogant and ashamed. Idiot. Lu Ming replied indifferently. Fuck, what did you say? You're looking for death. Even if I kill you, your things will still be mine. The disciple from the omnidirectional sword sect roared. His aura exploded as he charged toward Lu Ming. It had to be said that this disciple of the 10 Directions Sword School was very strong, much stronger than the monster of Mang Mountain. No wonder he was so arrogant. Unfortunately, his opponent was Lu Ming. Buzz. The force of the wind was fused into the spear, causing the speed of the spear to be extremely fast. The crowd only saw the shadow of a spear flash, and in an instant, it appeared in front of the disciple of the 10 Directions Sword School. Poochie. The long spear pierced through the heart of the disciple from the 10 Directions sword sect. The disciple from the 10 Directions sword sect let out a blood-curdling scream and fell to the ground, no longer breathing. One-shot kill. What powerful strength. Everyone was shocked. The disciple from the 10 Directions sword school was still extremely arrogant just a moment ago, but he was instantly killed. He's 2 levels higher than me, and yet he's still able to insta-kill me with a single shot. Isn't this Tianyun way too strong? The disciples of the 10 Directions sword school aren't weak. They're the top experts even among the 8th grade great martial masters. Tianyun's battle prowess is definitely equivalent to a 9th grade great martial master. This is too terrifying. Can he really break the record of the 6 heroes of the Scorching Sun? Many people were discussing in shock. At this point, Lu Ming had already won 2 rounds in a row, while the other 5 of the 6 heroes of the Scorching Sun had only won 4 rounds in a row. Everyone was filled with anticipation. You're looking for death. A roar came from the disciples of the 10 Directions sword sect. A figure jumped high into the air and landed on the fighting ring, causing it to shake violently. It was Choming. Tianyun, your winning streak ends here. If you want to break the record of the 6 Scorching Sun heroes, it's impossible. Choming looked at Lu Ming with a cold gaze. You think you can stop me? Don't end up like the one just now. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Don't compare me to him. Tianyun, you've repeatedly offended the might of my 10 Directions sword sect. Today, I'll make sure you die an extremely miserable death. Choming said coldly. At the same time, the aura on his body grew stronger and stronger. Within the strong aura, there was a force, the force of gold. I forgot to tell you something. I have refined all 9 drops of primordial origin liquid. Lu Ming suddenly changed his tone and smiled. What? You. Choming's face turned green and he almost lost his momentum. The primordial origin liquid was of great use to him. The main reason why he wanted to kill Lu Ming was to snatch the primordial origin liquid. However, Lu Ming said that the innate original fluid had been refined. Choming's eyes turned red and he roared in anger. Tianyun, you deserve to die. You deserve to die. Buzz. The sound of a sword rang out, and an extremely dazzling sword chi slashed toward Lu Ming. The sword chi was infused with the force of metal, making it extremely sharp and indestructible. Buzz. Lu Ming's long spear trembled and he used the force of the wind to attack Choming. Boom. The heavens and earth rumbled, and the fighting ring kept shaking. Terrifying air waves rushed in all directions. The first move was a tie. Kill. Choming's attack missed and he launched a storm of attacks. Choming's combat strength was absolutely terrifying. In terms of talent, he was not as good as Yang Zitian, but his cultivation was much higher than Yang Zitian's. Similarly, his combat strength was also much higher than Yang Zitian's. It was not difficult for Choming to kill an opponent of a higher level. Boom. Boom. The 2 of them exchanged more than 20 moves in a row, causing the space to tremble. Choming's combat strength is too strong. He shouldn't have appeared in the 3rd battle. He's trying to stop Tianyun from winning. That's right. From the looks of it, Tianyun has the ability to break the records of the other 5 out of the 6 Scorching Sun heroes. It's a pity that he was stopped by Choming. As long as Tianyun defeats Choming, there won't be any problem for him to break the 5 heroes record. The crowd was in a heated discussion. Is this your true strength? I'm so disappointed. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly said indifferently. What? Choming was stunned. Boom. The aura on Lu Ming's body exploded like a volcano. An incomparably powerful aura burst out. It was the combination of fire and wind, erupting with a terrifying power. A long spear broke through all the obstacles and stabbed toward Choming. This spear attack could not be dodged or blocked because it was too fast and too powerful. I'm not afraid. Choming was scared out of his wits. He roared crazily and used all his strength to resist. However, they were all unnecessary. The long spear pierced through his heart. The true energy on the spear burst forth, crushing his heart into pieces. Choming was dead. The audience was stunned for a few seconds, then burst into an earth-shattering uproar. Lu Ming had killed Qiu Ming and achieved 3 consecutive wins. However, the strength that he had displayed was too terrifying. If there were no other terrifying geniuses, Lu Ming would definitely break the 5 heroes record. He might even break Qiu Chongkong's record. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,